Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name is David Turner and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
We will start the show by thanking our Full Nels crew, the final Full Nels crew of 2020. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, and Fuzzballs. I stuttered towards the end there because I said Gazman when I should have just said Gasman, right? Why do I struggle with that one every week?
I don't know.
But they're the Full Nels crew, and I appreciate y'all.
I thought you were going to say you stumbled just because you realised you were getting towards fuzzballs and you...
No, Fuzzballs is a great addition to the crew. I've got time for Fuzzballs. Yeah, I got time for Fuzzballs. Welcome to the crew, Fuzzballs. You're in the elite. You can go to patreon.com/TCGS to support us on Patreon. Various different tiers there. Loads of podcasts. One podcast a month. But if you just sign up this month, you get, over a year's worth of bonus shows suddenly in your account?
It's like a year and a half,
in
isn't
your
it?
Bank account? Is it a year and a half? Of course it is. Blimey.
Although I suppose we gave some of them away for free because of COVID and stuff.
During lockdown 1 we gave them all free. Yeah.
And in the next tier up, you can watch last month's Talks Over right this minute and be prepared and get prepared for the live Christmas Talks Over we got planned for this month. So, get involved. Patreon.com/TCGS. Big show this week. It's essentially the last episode with the normal format of the year. But more importantly, we have the draft for the Game of the Year show. That's coming a little bit later. But first, let's get to feedback.
Let's crack on. Adam S. I'm Team James this week, presumably last week. Sorry, Dave, but the two of you are going on like an old married couple, and it's peak TCGS from back in the nasty Dave era, and I'm here for it.
Cheers, Adam S.
Do you think you're going to be nastier in 2021, Dave? Or
I shouldn't have been put in a position where I was nasty then, and I don't think I was. Was I nasty last week?
Okay. That's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't say that you were nasty.
Wait. I want to hear from Sean first. What was that,
I was just going to say, blaming other people for making you act in an abusive way is a bit... It's a bit much.
When was I abusive? When was I abusive last week?
No, I'm just saying... No, you weren't. I'm just saying... If someone's accusing you of being nasty and you're saying, well, you shouldn't have made me be nasty, that's...
Well, let me qualify that. Okay, Sean, let me qualify that, and then you can, if you want to continue with that opinion, then that's fine.
I mean, probably not. Let's go on.
This is clearly referring to the moment where James confronted me about lying about something he said on the podcast, right? Firstly, I pointed out that this isn't the time because this come up on the Talks Over, which only our Patreon followers had noticed. Secondly, what happened, James?
Well, okay, you see, I wouldn't say that you were particularly abusive, really. I mean,
thank you.
You were quite defensive, I found, during that conversation, which was what I found quite interesting, because I knew for a certain that you weren't entirely sure if you were right either. And, I mean, it turns out that I might have made a bit of a mistake with this. But it's fine.
So two things, two words I didn't like about that little comment there, James. First being might, right? Because there's no doubt about it now. Second one is a bit of a mistake. The right thing to say is I've since found out that I made a total balls up of confronting Dave there. Surely that's a more accurate thing to say.
Well, I think it's all degrees, isn't it? It's like, it's not, I mean, in the grand scheme of the podcast, I'd say it's quite a minor mistake to have made.
Minor mistake? You came at me and you said, you accused me of doing this. So the story was, I was making a joke on the Talks Over where I said to James, you always lie. You text me today saying I had my first PS5 crash, but you said on the show last week you had a PS5 crash. And then last week you confronted me and said, I never said my PS5 crashed last week. I never said that. And what happened? It turns out that I found the clip of you saying, oh yeah, my PS5 crashed while playing Blood and Truth. So what I was saying, Sean, is that if people perceive me as being abusive towards James in that little segment there, I wouldn't have had to have raised my voice and got mad had I not been accused of doing something that wasn't true.
Yeah.
It was just an error. It was an error.
Oh, just an error.
Yeah.
Just an error is fine. We'll just let that go, shall we?
Yeah. It was an error that you furiously defended to Dave.
What? I didn't defend an error. James defended the error.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay, all right. When you said Dave there, I thought you were accusing me.
I said to Dave, as in James.
I'm so on edge now.
Why so defensive?
Like worried about being accused of stuff that I'm now reacting. I don't like being put in this position, but I presented my evidence. I think it speaks for itself. It sucks when you're wrong, James. I don't know how it feels for you, but for when you're wrong, it does suck. When people are getting it wrong, it sucks.
Well, as I said,
I don't know how it feels for you.
I had an error of recall. Was what happened. It's it happens sometimes to people.
I know, but it was the fact that you didn't even consider that might be a possibility at the time, James. It was you fully dug in. It was.
What a shame though, because we were saying today, James will definitely say something on this show that would be a better episode title than the draft 2020 or whatever. An error of recall is about as good as we've had all year.
Yeah,
such a shame. Gutted. Such a shame. Should we move on?
Go on.
Yeah, Garrison Savannah. Regarding the working from home discussion...
I like the gap there where you just thought, nailed it. You can just be yourself, good shit, I've got it, I've done it.
Regarding the working from home discussion, I have to side with Matt on this one. I work as an IT software support and development for a massive UK government IT service. I can't say what it is, not because of anything exciting, just boring media policy. And while we struggled and had issues at the start of COVID, we are now working at least as productively as we were pre-COVID, even though about 95% of the support and development team for the service are now working from home. I would expect the games development industry to be able to adapt to this as well, since they have relatively advanced hardware, software, and tech-savvy staff compared to some industries. While COVID will have affected them initially, I would expect them to be in almost business-as-usual position now. I agree with Dave that home working isn't good for everyone, so the best thing is for companies to support people to work in the environment that best suits them. Also, just a quick Valhalla tip for Dave. When you come up to a raid location, you can park the boat without pressing right and starting the raid, then stealth around scouting and assassinating, and then call your mates with the horn to start the carnage when you're ready. That's what all those sneaky spots in those locations are for.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Although I did have... I think it must have been the same area. Sorry, this is a bit boring, but we're not going to talk about Assassin's Creed later. But I did have one of those moments, right? Quite a few people have mentioned this to me, where you go and do a raid, then you go to the next mission, and the next mission is set in that area you've just raided. So you go back there, and everyone's just like respawned, and it's like you haven't done anything to the place, and it's like, just don't let me raid it. Take that off the, take it off the. Don't let me go there until I'm ready to go there. I don't know, it's weird. That game does some weird stuff, man. It does some weird stuff, but that was good to hear. And as for the working from home stuff, I mean, yeah, different jobs, different needs, isn't it really?
Yeah, different jobs, different people, different industries, etc. There was really good, literally after we recorded our show last week, there's a really good episode of the gamesindustry.biz podcast where they did a whole episode just on the sort of game dev companies shifting to working from home, and some sort of trying to do hybrid models, and because it was all about that Square Enix story that we talked about last week. It was really interesting, worth a listen.
Will do. Graham,
Thanks.
A while back, a listener compared the new intro music to the Art Attack theme and was roundly mocked. I'm willing to posit that said listener listened to the pod on 1.5 speed, because it actually does make the song sound familiar. I think you owe the listener and indeed Neil Buchanan an apology. Good day.
Right, okay, so let's find the Art Attack theme, because we got to get this right.
I don't think they sound...
don't...
Oh, go on. Yeah, go on.
Art Attack theme tune.
This is an Art Attack?
Right, okay.
This is an Art Attack.
I don't think this is going to work. I don't know about you.
No, not at all.
Here we go. I mean, it's a classic. It is a classic. I got a lot of time for this theme tune.
Yeah. The theme tune's good, but I never liked the show.
Right, okay.
What's wrong with the show?
Didn't like it.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
What do you like about it?
What's not to like?
Do you like
Didn't
art,
like it.
James?
I hated those art shows, like
Did you like
Heartbeat and all
art
that
as a
kind
kid,
of stuff. No, not really, because I was
Heartbeat?
terrible at it.
Oh, I love that.
James is just like,
Did you just
I hate
say-
people expressing themselves.
No, it's because
James,
I
did you
was.
say art? Wait. Let's go back. James, did you say art shows like Heartbeat?
Yeah, there was another one that you're probably too young for that was
Well,
with.
Greengrass.
No.
Greengrass wasn't an artist, mate. He was
No.
a rogue.
There was another one. Do you know? Okay, do you
He's
know
a lovable rogue.
if I say the word morph? Do you know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, I used to love that show as well. You didn't like that? Even with the...
It was all right. It's just I don't know. I was
the
really
morph,
bad
right,
at art
okay,
at
so-
school, so it was.
So we've just reminded ourselves of what the Art Attack theme tune is. This is 1.5 speed, our theme tune. Ready?
Yep.
No way.
It's a reach,
nothing
isn't
alike.
it? It's a
I
big
tell you
reach.
what, though, it's banging.
Yeah, I love that. Dave, can you start do it again, but in 2-speed? I want to see what that's like.
2 speed, right?
And,
then we're
also
going to do it
crank
half speed.
that mother up.
Right, it's as high as it goes. Ready?
Yeah.
Why is it not playing?
Can't handle it, baby.
Why it's not playing now? I think it's broken the
Sound barrier.
You've broken the sound.
I was going to say, like, how much faster can we play it? And it's like cut to half an hour's time, and then we just play it again. And just goes like.
Do you know what? I
What's
don't think
happened?
it plays. I don't think it plays music.
What do you mean? What does
It
that
doesn't.
mean?
So if I fast forward, oh no, okay. I'm being thick. Yeah, that was my mistake there. Ready? Here we go. That's just nice.
That is too much. Yeah.
I mean, it's awful, isn't it? It's only good at normal speed and maybe 1.5 speed. It does not sound like the Art Attack theme tune.
Yeah, normal speed in a day, 1.5 speed after a couple of beers.
yeah, 100%. Right,
We
next.
had a bunch of emails, and I had a few messages from nice people saying that I shouldn't quit my streams just because I felt a bit rubbish after one stream.
Absolutely.
I'm not reading all his messages, but a majority of the ones I received said basically along the lines of, like, I watch you every week and I don't comment, so don't worry about what people might have saying to you because there's plenty more people that are probably watching you don't even realise.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers you get when you're streaming, and you look at how many people are actually talking in the chat. There's bound to be a lot of people not chatting in the chat.
Yeah,
Just
so
sitting there having a
thank
little
you
watch.
everyone for the nice messages. I will. It's not like I'm quitting streaming. I'm just having some time off to reassess my opportunities. But it was nice to have
does that
something
mean?
like-
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like
what
he's
What
quitting.
the fuck does that mean? Yeah. What does that mean, Matt?
Basically, I got an email from Mixer the other day, and it sounds legit.
They want to reboot it. They want to reboot it. They need someone.
Yeah.
They need a figurehead.
Exactly.
We want you to play PT and repeat just every week. I don't know who that was. It's an American man.
Was that head of Mixer?
Matt Murray.
I want you to play PT and repeat. I'm the head of Mixer, boy. Right, yeah, no, thank you for the messages. I do want to get back to it, but gonna have some time off. Sam, question. It's not really a question anyway. Question. A few weeks ago, I wrote in and I mentioned that I thought the last TCGS GOTY was mishandled. David incredibly correctly pointed out that I was just projecting that TCGS GOTY meant the best game of the year according to TCGS Co. If it does not mean that, what does it mean?
It means fighting. It means arguing to try and make your game get further. I mean, as I said, I don't honestly believe the Game of the Year should be the only game that all four of us have played, but bloody worked, didn't it?
It won't be happening this year.
Bloody worked. Well, we'll see. We'll see, Matt. It's going to be an interesting one next year.
Next year? Next year?
Yeah, I can't be bothered this year. I'll just go
That's-
whatever you
that's
want,
good.
boys. Just tell me which way you want me to vote.
Okay.
That's how I'm playing it.
Derek, dear Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Cranky Kong, and Sean.
I don't know.
That's
Should I be
perfect.
offended by that? Like, I don't stick out enough that I can be likened to
Well,
a Kong.
I
Or
think
maybe
you'd
I'm
be
just
Funky Kong.
Yeah, it'd be Funky Kong. Yeah.
No.
I agree with that.
Funky Kong.
I'm really muscular and I'm always cutting about with my surfboard and my shades and that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's true. You, when I see you, I do think funk.
Yeah, man. Have you ever seen, it's my favourite
right.
ASMR parody video that does actually give me ASMR.
You've just ruined the funk thing already. You brought up ASMR.
But yeah, after this, Dave, go onto YouTube and search for Funky Kong picks you up from the airport.
Okay.
Oh my god!
I will do that.
Fucking great.
That could also be a good episode title.
Yeah.
We need to stop this.
Well, I've competing SEO with the YouTube clip.
Yeah. Lots of talk last week about the emotional distress caused by 2019's GOTY show. However, there was no mention of Bell's folly early on in proceedings last year. When Sean caved in on Outer Wilds, there was a chance to force Dave into backing Disco Elysium against any game that wasn't one of his picks in exchange. I like to imagine an alternative timeline where a more ruthless Sean did the necessary and Disco Elysium got the award it deserved. This year, I expect everyone to up their tactical game, cross-check achievements, dig up damaging social media posts from 15 years ago, threaten to tell Matt's other half about the actual cost of 2 next-gen consoles and games, send some good whiskey to James ahead of time. Play dirty, basically.
I mean, maybe I'm going to say the wrong thing here that might change the course of next week's Game of the Year show, or in terms of when we're recording it, next week's Game of the Year show. But Sean reminds me of an art teacher at a sports day where they're like, well, you tried your best. Like, everyone else is like, come on, let's have it. And Sean's like, well, I gave it a good go, didn't I? I gave it a bloody good go.
I showed up, didn't I? Sure. I fucking showed up. What do you want?
Sure, they went out in the first round, but, I really gave the games that I like the respect they deserve.
I mean, the thing with Derek's plan
to win it, Sean,
is if I had done that deal with Dave, he'd have cashed it in on an earlier round. He wouldn't have saved it until the very final round and then voted against a game he loved anyway. And
you don't know me.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know.
Don't try and predict
we'll
where
never
I
know,
go with
but
things.
I'm going to convince myself of a version of events that upsets me the least. So,
do you know, I was
Amen to
thinking, right, what happens if we all decide to close the show down, right? When we get to the point where we're done with the show, we got an end date, we're done, right? And it's the last Game of the Year show, and we all know that it's the last Game of the Year show.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that's an 8-hour episode. I've got a feeling where literally, like, if we say we're going to end in February, we wouldn't bother. After that Game of the Year show, we'd be done because we all hate each other. That's where I see this ending, this podcast. That's where I see it going.
It would be a good way to go, though, wouldn't it?
It would be brilliant, wouldn't it? It'd be a lovely one.
It would be lovely, old John.
Go on then.
Brian B. Brains. That's
my
the
boy.
name. Can you make
My
sure
boy
James
B.
never
Brains.
plays anything he likes again? Hearing him happy about playing Miles Morales just didn't sit right. Also, he said the word tight repeatedly during his rundown. Proper did me in. Also, what the fuck kind of crack has Sean been smoking? Cum jokes over the dinner table? People that have involuntarily sexual dreams with other people are sleazy. Fella must have beamed down from somewhere. If he ever did go on a bender, the carnage would make national news. Proper mad lad in waiting. Matt and Dave, I think you're safe. I don't think you're safe. I'm listening. Keep up the good work. Brian B. Brains.
For starters, Brian, I don't get. I'm pretty sure I'm safe. I don't care. But secondly, that might be my favourite email of the year.
I mean, to be clear, I wasn't suggesting com jokes over the dinner table. That's a bit extreme. I was just saying, you were
just a lovely family ball game.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even just the family. It was the dad telling cum jokes in front of their kids and the wife.
You're saying it as if I'm suggesting standing up and going, right, kids, here's something you'll find funny. Just in the context of Jackbox Party Pack.
But when you said that, I kind of got the idea of you saying it to be like a cool, edgy dad.
Yeah, so I mean, just like the T-shirt one.
I'm on the same wavelength with you. Semen and that.
Yeah, exactly. See,
so I'm trying to think.
I'd be a bit rude.
Yeah.
Which of us would be most likely to be the person who was trying to be the cool, edgy dad?
I mean, I think it's me, isn't it? Right? I think that's what I've unwittingly revealed.
I was to say cum jokes.
I mean, you'd be bottom of the list, James. There's no way we'd think you'd try and be the cool, edgy dad.
I'm just saying,
as I said last week, you're the most 90s, 80s dad I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean?
You could do the
tutting and sighing.
Do the T-shirt one and just draw a spunking cock once and just see how the kids take it.
Oh, okay, we need to move on.
Imagine if this is your first episode.
Yeah,
imagine if this is your first episode.
You see what? Because what's happened is, right, I made a
Sean, I think you should stop.
I made a bad, inappropriate joke on the last episode, and I thought, do you know what? I'll make it okay by just carrying on with it. And now it's been brought up again, and I've just made it even worse. Also, I wasn't saying that people who have involuntary sexual dreams are sleazy. It's just feels a bit.
I mean, you said that word for word.
Yeah,
I didn't say sleazy.
Did you say sleazy?
I'm not going to argue because I know you'll dig up the clip, and we know how that
ends. Yeah,
just admit it.
No, I'm just saying personally, it makes me feel a bit weird. That's all.
Okay,
but you can't. Okay, but like, what happens in the brain? You can't change. It's just.
No, I know.
Had a dream. What happened?
It sounds like another episode. Matt's been like, but it happens to me every night, and I'm fine. What's the?
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do if you have a dream? Like, well. It wasn't my fault. I was asleep. It's like when Jill moans when I snore in my sleep.
I know, but is there not a bit of you that's like, oh God, what if this is like a repressed real thing?
This is fascinating, Sean. Do you worry about this, like after you've had a dream?
Depends. Usually not. I mean, I'm sort of one thing I've come to terms with over the last sort of 5 years is not really owning every stupid thought that comes into your head. But yeah, when it's like a really vivid dream, does that never unsettle you?
If you had a sleazy in inverted commas dream about Carol Vorderman, would you wake up and say, "No,
I need to tell you something."
Yeah,
I've had
thoughts.
Well, not Rachel Riley, because we know what she's like, but her predecessor.
Let's move on.
Yeah, Cameron, please.
Let's move on.
6squid_games. Read a talented Mr. Farley. This holiday, some of us Christmas-loathing listeners of the show getting together over Zoom to recreate our favourite programme Nightmare. We wanted to extend an invitation to Dr. Farley, seeing as he not only shares similar contempt for the season, but also has skills we sorely lack. His impressive riddle-solving abilities and a finesse he uses to answer stick-drift issues would make him perfect for the show. Personally, I can't believe Dr. Farley hasn't appeared on Nightmare before, but then again, I think he would have been in graduate school at the time. Regardless, any helmeted contestant is safe from becoming goblin fodder with the Bishop of Canterbury on their team. We'll work around your schedule, Dr. Farley, but if this is all a tool request, we will not say no to a photo of you dressed up as Lord Fear so that we can use as a Zoom background.
Well, we've repeatedly said up your game to the listeners, and I think they've all waited to this week.
The emails we've had have been superb.
I don't understand this email at all.
You're running out of time.
Well, James, basically, would you dress up like Nightmare Man and send a picture to 6squid_games?
No. But you see, also the other thing with this is I read that, and I've got to be clear about this. I don't hate Christmas. I just don't like celebrating it ridiculously early.
Don't like Christmas. You don't hate Christmas. You don't like too much of it.
Exactly. I like it to be about 2 weeks long. That's about how long it should be.
Okay.
James, you understand why people think that you hate Christmas, right?
No, I don't.
For starters, all you do is moan about it. Secondly, you said when we were talking about growing up and having Christmas, you said you hated it because you had to keep going around your grandparents.
Yeah, it was that.
And to the point where you would hide outside their house in the car, trying to eke out the moments that you didn't have to be inside, right?
It's true.
You've not said one nice thing about Christmas and the festive period.
Also, James, on Instagram this week, there was a nice picture of family putting up decorations, and the comment, the caption was, "I guess it's time to decorate."
Yeah, it's just.
It was, wasn't it? For me. Guess it's time to decorate.
I mean, I was not in favour of that happening
birth of the
at
Lord
that point,
and all that shit.
But there's nothing I could do about it. It's just they want to do it, so you have to let them do it. But I still think it's too early. I still think it's too early. It's far too early.
James. You're right, James. I am really surprised that our listeners think you hate Christmas. Let's move on to the next.
I've just seen the next email. Fuck me.
Go on.
Hakon Lingstad. To the merry men of the TCGS family, I'm with Farley on the issue of Christmas. If you start celebrating too early now, it's just going to get even worse next year. Norwegian stores already start selling Christmas fizzy drinks at the start of October. I can imagine it's just as bad in the UK. Stay strong. Don't let lockdown go to your heads.
And that's the thing.
Christmas games, I think Heave Ho should be brilliant, grabby fun for a bunch of teenagers. It has limbs in all the right ways, none of the wrong places. Well, white Christmas aside, spunk jokes don't seem very festive to me, not to mention family friendly. I've only heard my dad say the word sex once, and the way he pronounced it made it sound like he was talking about biscuits. All the best. Hack on Quam Lingster.
What I love that. I had a sex this morning. I had sex with my team.
Actually, I've never heard my parents ever use that word. So
sex?
Yeah, never.
I don't know if
James, sit down with your mum and dad and be like, "Look, can you explain this to me, please?
Can we talk about sex?
Just say the word sex.
Yeah, I want to record it.
Shout it in my face.
It's for the show. It's fine."
I did once time ask my dad why he didn't do the whole. Parents sometimes do the talk. What about the whole thing?
Yeah.
They never.
Yeah, but I never had that.
I never received that.
Bollocks.
I never got that.
Yeah, my parents are shy.
Nor did I.
Because I asked my dad once, I was like, "Why didn't you tell?" And he was just like, "I thought you knew everything. It's fine."
You were a bit of a smart
all over the place, mate. You were.
Yeah. I thought you were amongst it. Little James Farley.
James, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I didn't tell you, because you've got 2 kids, mate.
Presumed you'd figured it out. No, I think our parents' generation are just weird about this stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have the talk.
No.
I learned about it at school.
Yeah.
But no talk.
And even then it was like, you do what?
I know, but thinking about having a talk now as a dad is not something that I ever want to do.
I'll tell you what, I've done that recently. And,
okay, let's move on.
We should probably wait. I'll tell you about it on the Patreon show.
Yeah, I mean,
look at that.
He's business savvy, isn't he?
That is brilliant, James.
I know how to ration out my children's milestones for cash.
Yeah. Matt is really
guys, I once killed a man. I'll tell you on the Patreon
show. Next thing you know, James will be saying, actually, I don't fancy streaming anymore. The chat was getting on my nerves a bit.
They're saying all this now, but this is the kind of thing where Matt would have said this to me after the show if I hadn't mentioned it. So, it's true.
No, you don't.
What you did just there is that you took my joke and then made it serious point. And let's move on. Let's move on.
Last one here. I like to, as a Tom Doughty or Doty, I think. Anyway, I like to jump in and defend the news gherkin. It's news goblin. But I like News Gherkin, actually. And News Goblin, replaying the Phoenix Wright games. I myself also play the trilogy every so often, and I don't see how it is any different compared to rewatching films or rereading books. Phoenix Wright was never about discovering the culprit. It was either explicitly told or most times rather obvious. Rather, it's in the thrill of absolutely proving their guilt and uncovering their lies. The writing and English translation is top-notch, and I cannot help but smile every time I replay the trilogy when you're reunited with Dick Gumshoe or Miles Edgeworth. Such great characters. As all of you, except Matt, know the music is also sublime. That's one time.
For new listeners, Matt played that game on mute.
No, it was one time on the phone. I played it on the 3DS or the DS, whatever, with the sound. Obviously, it's just one. Maybe the worst only time I've ever done it. Okay. With a new Phoenix Wright game, unlike the Anytime Soon, the fact that this trilogy is some of the greatest games of all time, barring the clown case from the second game, is easily available. James, the Professor Farley, is clearly a man of good taste, and he has my full support in replaying these timeless classics.
Well, let's hear from James first. Go on.
Oh, that's right. It's like going back to an old book or something like that over and over again. I just enjoy it. It's a good game.
Yeah,
it just made me laugh because obviously there's. Are they mysteries? Yeah, I know who did it is pretty much obvious, but it's the way it weaves through to that final point and the twists and stuff of you presenting evidence, and it just, I don't know, for me that's a big part of the thrill of it. And then if I basically know what's going to happen, that would largely be gone for me, I think.
But usually,
my point is this:
Usually what I do, though, is I only replay them every couple of years, and I've usually forgotten some of the detail by that point, and so it's not so bad.
That's fair enough.
My point is this. I agree. Initially when I was listening back, I thought, oh no, it's kind of like rewatching a film or reading a book. But then books take a few hours to read. Films, a few hours. We're talking like 15 to 20-hour games back to back, several times over and over. Like once you go, yeah, I can see why you played all those games. Twice you go, yeah, I could see why you would replay all them. There's loads of stuff. Every other year? Why? Why is this happening? That's where I'm at.
Speaking...
No, James, want to shut down. Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. Let's move on to the news.
Again, right? You give me about 10 seconds, like not even that, about 2 seconds before you're like, oh, you're not going to answer that, are you? It's like, it's ridiculous. You come to the end of your thought.
10 seconds of silence.
No, you come to the end. You come to the end of your thought, and then you just say, oh, you're not going to answer or whatever. It's ridiculous. You don't give me any time to respond at all. Oh, come on.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird when it happens,
you can
James.
Give me,
even
you can give me longer
seconds.
than like a second before you do it.
Right, okay, all right, sure. I'll give you longer than a second next time. Is that it for feedback, Matt?
Yeah, that is a feedback. But just while we're on the subject of the news goblin, I've got an amazing bit of artwork that I'm now going to post in our WhatsApp, and this will be on social tomorrow or next couple of days. This is the work of Gazman, our very own Full Nails member, and someone he's worked with, an actual illustrator, to
oh my god, it's incredible.
This genuinely piece of incredible artwork featuring the News Goblin, featuring loads of references to the show, a pod over the years. It's just an absolute sublime bit of work.
Oh my god, that's wonderful!
So, yeah, this will be on social tomorrow. You're listening to us now. You will know it when you see it. But it'll be on Twitter and Instagram, all the usual bits. But yeah, absolutely amazing bit of work, Gazman, and whoever you worked with to get this done. It's just unbelievably good.
This is a hard thing to talk about, but the writing on the wall, James, is that real?
It is real, yeah. I'm just having a look.
What's it say?
I'm just having a look. I can't read it all. Hang on, let's have a look.
It's a bit pixelated.
Let's have a look. I'll have to have a look at that.
Let's have a look. Well, I'll have to have a look at that. Oh yeah, no shit. I'd love to know if there's a reference in that clock as well, because there's a time there that looks very specific, and I bet it's a reference to something we said on the show.
I was looking at it, I was like, well, it's not 10:30 when James would normally be asleep.
I was going to say, and it's not 12 minutes past 9 when he starts his streams either.
No.
Okay, all right.
So thank you ever so much, Gazman. That's absolutely incredible bit of work, so thank you. And that's it for feedback. Obviously, this is the last bit of feedback for the year, because next week's show is a GOTY show. So you can leave us feedback if you want. Go to tcgs.co/deartcgs, and we'll read it out in the new year.
Cool. Let's get on to the news then. Over to the News Goblin. James Farley.
It's been a brief week. There's not been that much happened.
Been a brief week. It's been 7 days, mate.
Okay.
The same length as every other week.
I know, but in terms of news week,
fucking hell, it should be Tuesday, but it's actually fucking hell.
Anyway, there's not been a lot that's happened this week, so there's not much. The main thing, I guess, is we got sales figures and stuff, and I know everyone loves these. Basically for November, so PS5 came out top. For the console sales, apparently it was 900,000 consoles were sold in the UK during November, and this was for like up until November 28th. And the reason this is apparently a big deal is because it's the 8th biggest month for console sales, like for a very long time, like since 2013, when the PS4 and Xbox One received some big shipments or whatever. But anyway, the most successful machine of the month was the PlayStation 5, and the Switch was second. And this was...
Did anyone else find this article? Because this was on GameIndustry.biz, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did anyone else find this article really strange?
How so? I mean, I was surprised that Switch was still second place, honestly. That did surprise me.
This is it. I mean, they don't mention Xbox sales at all in there.
No.
There's no mention of it.
No, well, they must... But the thing is, do they know them? Because, Microsoft don't release, like, numbers, do they? But these are coming from retail, aren't they, though? So presumably retail no.
So, yeah, and presumably if they had those numbers, the story would be Switch and PlayStation outsell the new Xbox. Mm-hmm. And also, are Xbox Series S and X being counted separately in this tally? Are the PS5 and the PS5 digital being counted separately?
No, I bet they'll be the same, I bet.
Yeah, I agree. I do think they'll be the same because, Matt, as we know, they're an equivalent console. But we're talking the X and the S. Is that going to be separated? It was a real strange article that I thought had a nice headline, but I'd like to know why Xbox isn't mentioned at all. Because I think if more Switches... Go on, where is it mentioned?
Well, no, so Xbox stuff is mentioned because they also talk about accessories, and you can get an idea probably of where Xbox is on the list, I think, with maybe the attach rate of like accessories and everything for it. Because if you look...
Well, no, when you consider that the console accepts accessories from the previous gen console, whereas the PS5 doesn't, I don't think you can.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'd agree with that. You're probably right about that. But what
I would say is that I think it's a massive story if the Switch outsold both the X and S combined. But then to announce that they're second, it's weird. It doesn't tell me enough for anything to go on this article.
Well, anyway, I mean, okay, let's go into a bit more of the detail. So, Switch was second, but this was for only the third time in 2 years, and it was a big month for them because their hardware sales were up 96% over the previous 4 weeks. And basically, Switch hardware sales are up 63.1% year on year. So
it's mental, isn't it? What a crazy year that console's had. It's
doing very, very well. I mean, it's doing very, very well. But then also, like in terms of like the software, it has it for box games. 2.38 million games were sold in the UK last month. Switch games were the most popular of the month, accounting for nearly 35% of all games sold, followed by the PS4. And then Nintendo was the top publisher of the month. Because they had strong sales of like Animal Crossing, Mario Kart 8, Super Mario 3D All Stars. This is why, like, they're never going to release another Mario Kart on the Switch, because they don't need to. There's no reason why they would do that, because all of these games, and this has always been the strength that Nintendo's had, like over many, many generations, is they have like what they call like these evergreen titles, don't they? Which are like ones where people buy the machine and then it's like, okay, well, I want to pick up like a Mario Kart and like Mario game, whatever, and they're there, sitting there waiting for them. So yeah, it does pretty well.
Stick out an F-Zero then. Who cares? Just stick out an F-Zero then. Shut me up. Shut me up for a bit. So, we all want it. We all want the opportunity to shut me up.
Like, I know Nintendo clearly have their own thoughts about where the franchise is, given they're not releasing one, but I can't see an F-Zero bombing. Or am I in the minority there?
No, I think there's a base level of support that a new F-Zero will get. I don't think it'll be anything close to Mario Kart, though.
No.
Sorry, I know you're not saying that, but it's interesting.
But then Mario Kart is ridiculous, but it will still sell like way more than a sort of semi-equivalent on any other console because it's F-Zero. I thought. I mean, maybe I'm out of touch.
To be fair, Harry stuck on Mario Kart 8 this morning, and I looked at it and I just thought, my God, that game it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah,
like it's still so fucking good. I just wish if we ain't getting a new Mario Kart, stick out a bunch of new tracks for it. Just do something with it. Give me something. No.
I mean, it's interesting because do you reckon?
Come on.
Because obviously, people work at Nintendo and they're not doing nothing. So, do you think are they just partway through working on a new Mario Kart? Do you think they've basically finished it, but they're just sitting on it until the time's right?
I bet they're not working on it. Come on,
100%.
They'll be
100%.
They'll be working on like stuff on Breath of the Wild 2 and all that kind of thing. They're not. They don't seem to be a company.
It's not the same team. I'm assuming that there are many teams in that company.
Yeah, definitely there are. But I don't think that. But they don't seem to work on like loads of games at the same time, and that's why we get like a release schedule every year of about 3 games usually.
It would be pretty good if when the Switch Pro gets announced, the launch games are Breath of the Wild 2 and a new Mario Kart.
Yeah, it won't be.
Here we go, another 4 years of this. Let's go and like selling
Mario Odyssey
10 to 20 million copies, and then Switch Pro 2. How about Breath of the Wild 3 and a new Mario Kart?
There's way more chance you'll get another Mario Odyssey than there would be another Mario Kart. Because
I'd take that.
Yeah,
you reckon?
I'd take that. Yeah, I've been playing that game.
No. I mean, it's an amazing
right
game, but I'm saying, like, you reckon there's more chance of another... Obviously, there was another 3D Mario coming, because that's just how it works, but you reckon there's more chance of that in the near future than a new Mario Kart?
Definitely.
Yeah.
They only ever released one Mario
Odyssey 2
Kart.
Would be... Sorry, I think an Odyssey 2 would be... As I said, though, James, it is a little bit of a sore point that you're saying they only ever release one Mario Kart each generation.
I know, and it was on the Wii U, I know, but no one bought that, so...
It's so annoying.
It's just weird, because they've obviously Nintendo are sort of flirting with slightly more aggressive microtransactions and stuff. Oh, hello, the dog's here. I left the gate shut, but my wife has opened it, so I'm blaming her. Hi, Mara. Like they've obviously, some of their newer titles, the microtransaction stuff, or monetization, whatever, has started getting a bit weirder and a little bit more cynical. So it is strange that they haven't just gone, actually, yeah, fuck it, more Mario Kart 8 tracks. And I know they don't need to, but they could, and it's free money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
for them,
but I think James is right. I think what would stop them doing a Mario Odyssey 2? Like, it makes so much sense that they don't have to change the system. The way it controls is unbelievable. Some new levels and new ideas and that. I mean, I'm sure that's still a hell of a lot of work, but all of the sort of base level stuff's done for them. Makes total sense to me, and they've done it in the past.
You could say that with Mario Kart. I mean, a lot of their games, can you?
You could.
I thought we're much closer to another Mario Kart, given the Switch version was a port of the Wii U version. So,
but the Nintendo are treating the Wii U...
I thought, okay, well, maybe they spend more time doing that, but who knows? You can't
Nintendo treat the Wii U as if it never existed. So it's just... That's why I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's why we've had most of the Wii U's games released on the Switch.
I mean, we'll know when they're really scraping the barrel when they release Star Fox on it. Like on the Switch, that'll be the Wii U version, because that was not great.
Yeah.
That'll be the thing. Anyway, cool. So the biggest selling new game of the month was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and the other biggest game in the charts was Spider-Man Miles Morales, which reached it reached number 4, primarily on PS5. But yeah, it was apparently the biggest PS5 launch game. But also,
year of people saying that Activision should give Call of Duty a rest for a year. Mm-hmm. Another year where they're the biggest selling game of the month. You know what I mean? It's that ain't going to happen anytime soon.
And then they also had the accessories have been sold as well. I mean, the best selling ones were the DualSense, the Pulse 3D headset, which you can't get anywhere. I've never seen that for sale anywhere. And also the PS4 DualShock as well. Like, it was sold a lot as well for some reason.
You'd be gutted if you try to plug that in.
Unhappy people.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the new Xbox controllers debuted at number 4 and number 5 for Shock Blue and Carbon Black, and number 9 for Robot White. And
I am starting to lean towards actually the black one looks nicer than the white controller now, but I've let Harry use the black controller. He scratched it to shit already, so I'm not switching, which is a shame. But yeah, nice pad. Okay, all right, let's go.
Okay, Casey Hudson and Mark Darrah have departed BioWare. They've gone. So this was General Manager Casey Hudson and Dragon Age Executive Producer Mark Darrah have left BioWare. Samantha Ryan's going to continue to oversee BioWare as the SVP of Mobile, Maxis, and BioWare at EA. And then they're going to look for a new General Manager instead. So also this guy from Blizzard, who's BioWare, Austin.
This guy?
Yeah. What?
This guy. Again, imagine this was the news. Also, there was this guy who was working for someone else.
He was the studio director. Christian Daly is going to take over leadership on Dragon Age. He's going to become the executive producer. Right. So, anyway, Laura Meal, who's the person at EA who's in charge of a lot of things, she said...
Fucking hell.
It is news that you're reading to children, isn't it? This is Newsbeat on Radio 1.
John reminds me
there was this guy. He was in charge of a lot of things, and he's gone now.
It reminds me of one time I had Newsround on, and this is like when I was too old to actually be watching it. I was just channel hopping, and there was a story about something to do with FIFA, right? The organisation, something like football related. And there's like a little ticker at the bottom that explains some of the terms and stuff now. and it just came up, said, like, FIFA is football's bosses or something like that. And I was like, that's James, that's what he does.
Thanks, Sean.
It's also like, I found this really irritating. I don't know if you have, but when they're talking about the vaccine coming in, right? Mm-hmm. When the scientists and the government are talking about the vaccine coming in, why can't they just say, look, we need to get to 70% vaccination. That's when we can start lifting restrictions and stuff. Instead, they're going, to put it in football terms, we're 1-0 up in the first half. It's a bit nervy, and you're just going, mate, I'm not a child. Just say you can't go out to pubs yet. You're not allowed. You're allowed to. The cavalry is coming over. That's not even relatable, Boris. My goodness.
When the cavalry's coming over the hill, we've all been over the hill, and then, there's the cavalry, yeah.
I'm chasing the foxes. We all know what that's like. Come on, guys. Fuck off. Go on, let's go.
So she said, when I think about BioWare's future and the next generation of talent in place, I could not be more confident or optimistic. As we look to the studio's future and the projects currently under development, the next generation of BioWare talent is leading the studio forward and working on some incredible games that I know you'll be excited to experience in the coming years. Yeah.
Buy 'em, Microsoft. Go out there and buy them.
What, EA?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No, not EA. Just BioWare. Buy BioWare off of EA.
I think EA would be happy to let them go.
Like, the best Mass Effect ever. Get that done. Oh, God, imagine. I'd love it if BioWare turned it around and brought out like just an incredible Mass Effect game.
I mean, it's great. I'm just reading one of the quotes from Mark Dora's post that ends with, I don't know what's next for me, but I'm excited to find out, just as I'm excited to find out what Dragon Age now becomes. I mean, doesn't that sound like good fucking luck with Dragon Age, dickheads?
Yeah, can't wait till it turns out to be like you bunch of...
It's going to be at the Game Awards, though, isn't it? I heard.
Is it?
Which is this Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Excitement.
Very excited.
Yeah, just let that sink in. We were just letting that sink in for a little bit then.
I mean, we've seen a couple of the screenshots from that, right? And it did look stunning, just from like the sheer detail.
It wasn't the screenshots.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, yeah. So, I mean, who knows? It would be really nice if the new Dragon Age was good, but if it's not, it will fucking bury BioWare. And I can't even... and this is horrible to say because there's probably tons of talented people working there, but at this point, I don't think I'd even be that sad. It's been so long since the last great BioWare game. It's just a shame, innit?
Sean, have you not heard they're reworking Anthem?
Yeah.
It's coming back,
Hear about it
it's coming back.
Yeah.
But again, from James,
but again,
the world's biggest Anthem fan.
But again, I'd love it if they sorted Anthem out, but the stuff that they've done or talked about just doesn't even seem to get it. It doesn't seem to be fundamentally addressed the problem.
I thought that new UI looked good.
All right, okay, let's move on. Come on.
Okay, last story. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is expected to start production in March. And yeah, there's also other film news because Oscar Isaac might be Solid Snake in a Metal Gear Solid film that is going to be made one day.
Who's Oscar Isaac?
Who's Oscar Isaac?
Look, James, Sean, I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with
Dameron,
names.
Mate.
Sean, yes, Poe Dameron. Yeah.
He's also Ex Machina. He's going to be in June. He's in tons of amazing stuff.
The Star Wars universe. Yeah. Okay, yeah, got a lot
from
of time
the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, no, I mean Oscar Isaac is an amazing actor, and I am very up for seeing what it could do with Solid Snake.
Sure, you know how I watched all the Star Wars films and turned into like a massive fan of the series. Yeah. That's just like been ebbing away day by day. Now it's
like a muscle. You've got to flex it. Get the Mandalorian on. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, he's very good.
So good.
Mandalorian's fucking
mint. I need to watch that. I watched like the first 4 episodes and then dropped off. But
I was thinking actually the other day, there's an episode recently that you're not going to like.
Right, okay, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
We can totally skip that one.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, though.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's going to start.
I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. The second one's going to be terrible, guaranteed.
It's going to start filming.
That's a David Turner guarantee.
It's going to start filming in March next year. And for some reason, it's got the okay. I know why it's got this code name because it's codenamed Emerald Hill, which is obviously the first level from Sonic 2. But why has it got a code name? Like we all know it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah. Well, maybe,
that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they're not calling it that. Maybe they're calling it something else. I guess. But
is Jiminy Carroll in it? Jim Carrey is in it.
There's no casting info like on this article, so I've no idea.
Shame. Yeah. He's got to be in it, right?
Yeah, I think he did say that he would love to do another one. Well, when the first one came out.
But they all say that. He's saying that while biting his bottom lip and rubbing his two fingers together with his thumb, going like, "Give me the cash, baby." Like, that's what it is. They don't show him the goods, mate.
Yeah,
Forget about it.
I will definitely watch that. The first one, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I kind of went in with low expectations, but
I loved it.
Really enjoyed it. And yeah, the final scene, I was like, oh yeah, the sequel, bloody hell, let's go.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it in the end, Sean?
I didn't know. I should do though.
How?
Watch it over Christmas. Like, everyone will love it.
Just watch it over Christmas, yeah.
Well, as I say, Isaac's still a bit too young. Like, he was too young for Detective Pikachu, but he loves Pokemon, so he's able to just watch that and be like, oh my god, it's real Pokemon. But he's got nothing for Sonic, so I don't know.
Well, this might be the thing that changes it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
He's yeah, because Harry hated Sonic until he watched the film, and then he really loved it. But like, don't go into it. Actually, we're saying, it's really good. Actually, it's really good. Don't go into it thinking that, because you'll be massively disappointed. You got to remember, we all went into thinking this was going to be the worst piece of shit ever to grace the screen.
You go into it just thinking, this potentially could have been dreadful. And it's not.
I'll put it on,
and it was okay.
I'll put it on, and I'll just think, I hope this is fine.
You're right. That's about as good as you can hope for.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it for the news?
That's it. There's nothing else.
God damn.
Blimey. Here we go. What you've been playing? We're rushing towards the draft. That's what it is. We're overexcited.
Trying to get it out of the way.
We're rushing towards the draft. I should say as well, we've got a hell of a lot of questions to get to. So we are going to address it like so many times recently. Through the whole launch of these new consoles, the build up and all that sort of stuff. We've got to the end and we're like, we'll do 2 questions.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to finish this episode off with a good old questions section. Matt, what have you been playing this week?
Played a bit more Hades. Still loving it. Still haven't. I haven't really played hardly any compared to the week before. Still haven't escaped, but still playing that. But mostly,
have you got out of Elysium yet?
No, I only played. I think actually once actually, and I got back to Elysium. And I died in the chamber just before the bull boss. Well, I've only had that like one night, like an hour or so. Really, haven't played much really. So that's that. But mostly,
I've got a big grin on my face. Just you saying that, I've got a big grin on my face there.
Why?
I like that. Oh, because it's the expectation. You're expecting something, and that's what the game does so well.
Yeah,
you're sitting there going, the chamber just before the next, before the boss, and I died there. Did you? The game flips you all the time, man. I can't wait for you to get a little bit further into that.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Clever.
But the other game I'm playing is FIFA. The next gen patch dropped, didn't it, David and James?
It did. It dropped early. I don't really know why.
They released a day early just to be nice, I guess.
What a strange thing that is. So I downloaded it, but I don't know why they did this. Like, I assume it's just a PR move, but at the same time, they've pissed off a lot of people. Because when we were playing pro clubs in the week, we all had to start from scratch, and it's horrible starting from scratch in that game. Your players feel crap. They're slow. They don't control the ball. It's sort of like all artificially holding you back. You know what I mean? And we're looking at it and going, this just doesn't look or feel any different. Like, everything about the menus, the gameplay, visually, it barely does anything new. And I'm sitting there just going, why did you just not do it? Like, you could have just not done it, and then I could have carried on with my stats. Like, why have I got... It's just like someone coming and resetting your game. That's all it was. And it's horrific, Sean, as well, right? So the way it works, you start off with basic stats, and then you earn stats through playing games. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It just gives you a certain amount based on how many games you've played, and then you add them to your player, right? The thing is, you could just quit out and that counts as a game being played. So the amount of games we played on that first night where you get matched up with a team and they score an own goal and then quit, and then you're back in the menu. Thankfully, the loading is insanely better now because everyone that you're playing against is playing on an next-gen console, right?
I mean, the loading's so quick that basically when you press to yes to play the game, and just the loading screen before the game loads, before like the match loads, sorry, you have a bit where your player is in the training ground and you can dribble the ball a bit and shoot at a goal. And it's so quick now, you don't even get time to like shoot.
No,
whereas before you could dribble a bit, you have a couple of shots to practice. Yeah. Now you like just press the shot button. If you don't do it instantly, it's like the game's loaded, which is great. But it's just weird that this loading screen is still there, but you can't really do anything in it anymore.
But this is a big deal, though, isn't it? This is a big deal, though, because FIFA has always been awful, like in terms of loading. Like it just to even start the game, it often takes like quite a long time to get everything up and running.
Really?
Yeah, it always used to.
I never thought it was a massive problem.
No, it's not a massive problem. But if you're playing it like every day, and it's like you know, when you start it up, it's like minutes to start rather than like seconds. It does make a huge difference, like how it is now.
What are you playing on? What were you playing on?
I was playing on PlayStation, yeah, and it was still.
Really?
I mean, I'm not saying okay, it's not like 10 minutes to load, but it's still like minutes rather than it taking like seconds, to like load. Okay. Like, to go from starting the game from cold to actually being in a game that you're playing, it's quite a long time, and mostly because you had to go through so many menus as well to like get to whatever it was. It was a bit irritating.
Yeah, well, I mean, the next gen stuff on PS5 seems a little bit different because it added DualSense stuff. But everyone that I've read that uses DualSense with that game has said I turned it off. It was just, do you know what it does, Sean? Right? So you've got the run buttons on the trigger. The more tired your player is, the harder that trigger is to pull. And people are saying it's just irritating.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to pull them. I mean, you're already squeezing that trigger as hard as you can when you've got no energy left. Yeah. Like, you don't really want tension in that as well. So I've heard people getting annoyed with that.
Well, this has been happening with like COD and stuff as well, right? Where any like seasoned players are just turning off all the cool controller stuff. Because it's just like it just makes you like it's interesting for a bit and it's cool, but it actually just makes you a worse player after a bit. And it's just
I can imagine anyone probably playing competitive on it, but I think as like a casual or playing a single player.
Well, not even for the casual, playing a single player, I think is the main thing, isn't it? It's fun with that. Yeah. But then I've also seen reports of the triggers breaking quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that's overblown nonsense that you usually read around launch days. I'm predicting it is because it hasn't been massively widespread. But and of course there will be 40 units in initial shipments. There always is, and even going years down the line, there's still a chance that you might get a 40 batch of controllers or consoles or whatever, and have to send it back and get it replaced or whatever. But I mean, it'd be interesting to keep your eye on seeing how these controllers hold up, because at the end of the day, when it comes to technology, the more moving parts there is, the more likely it is to break, right? That's just a fact. And because there's a lot of moving parts in these things, that could potentially be an issue. But going back to FIFA, my word, I cannot see a difference. I mean, I guess this is just a PR thing. The game's been dropped to like £25 now. So, I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's not selling. I'm certain it's sold record amounts or whatever. But I was really surprised by how little had changed when I launched that game. There's a few cutscenes. That's about it. John says that when you zoom into the players in replays and stuff, you do notice a huge graphical difference. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, how often are you going to be doing that? Yeah. I'd rather them sort of work on the crowds to make them look more realistic or have more going on around the pitch.
The best bit was when we were all playing and John's like, I think I saw my player move his sleeve on his shirt. I think my player just sneezed. It's like there's lots of little details which you wouldn't ordinarily notice, and that's cool. But
yeah, strange one.
No, I mean the loading being shorter is great, but that's the real noticeable difference, I guess, for me so far. But
they've messed around with career mode quite a bit. That's I mean, I say quite a bit, but they've just like added like extra layers of like complexity to it, and which not in an entirely great way, but it's okay. I mean, I'm just happy that I can start playing it again. I've just started taking Bradford City.
Are you finding Quick Resume working on it?
Yes, it does work. Yeah, that's been working.
It's been really good for that, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, I'm finding it working a lot more these days. I downloaded Peggle and played Peggle the other day. I don't know why. I think because I thought Charlie would really like it.
Yeah, I played a bit
Harry
of that
loved
the
it
other
as
day
a
as well.
kid. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, they've got quick resume on that, and that works perfectly. And which is mad because that's a 360 game. And they've put it back into Tetris Effect.
Mm-hmm.
It works on Tetris Effect now. So hopefully, because I love the feature, but it's just not been working from launch. Hopefully that starts to like work its way back in because it's so good to just flip between games like that. So the fact that works with FIFA is a big plus. But yeah, sorry, who are you taking control of? Bradford.
I'm taking Bradford City to the Premier League. That's my plan this season. It's
right.
It's going well so far. In fact, just before we recorded, I just hammered Tranmere 6-1. Sorry, Sean. It was
yeah. Sean's furious now. He's just dropped off the Discord.
Got no words.
He's left the show.
No words.
What difficulty setting do you play it on?
Professional. Not like on world class or anything like that, just on professional.
Professionals.
Okay. That's fine. No professionals. Right, okay, cool. Anything else, Matt?
No, that's it.
Cool. Sean?
Hello. I've been playing more Sea of Thieves because it's fucking mint. I really love it. I'm so surprised.
Are you going for a campaign? What is it you're doing? Is it just online you're playing or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's online whether you like it or not. But yeah, there are these, like, what they call tall tales, which are like little campaigns, but obviously they're still cooperative. You still need people to do them with. So, and as I was saying, at the moment, it's basically just me and Chris playing it. So we're going to save those until we've got a larger crew. So no, we're still just like running missions and like we've sort of got into the whole, there's like seasons and challenges and stuff, like a whole set of seasonal challenges. So we've been ticking loads of them off and getting cool weapons and stuff. Not that they're any, statistically any different from the default ones. Although I am starting to appreciate that now because as Chris and I have, played like a fair bit over the last couple of weeks. And, we've got other friends who are now, like, considering joining us, and I've spoken to, Darren Gargett from Kane and Rinse, for example. He used to play a ton of it, and he's keen to play again. And it's nice knowing that you can bring all those people together, and there's just no issue of, like, oh, well, who's got the best kit, who's the highest level, like, it's fine. It's just all about...
There's a problem with Destiny, isn't it?
It is. That's a bit. It's going to so tomorrow the next gen patch for Destiny 2 drops, and it'll be very cool if you were to all start playing it. But you've got a couple of weeks before we can really do much together. I mean, we can do stuff together, but it'd be sort of a waste of time for me.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like there's people saying, well, you could have a second character at the same level or whatever. But the problem is that you'll be playing it thinking, I could be doing this.
Yeah.
With my main character and getting new stuff.
Exactly.
Like, why am I?
And it's, and that's not having a go at Destiny. That's just there are some
different
ways around it, but yeah, it's just a different type of game. So although last week I was saying it's kind of weird knowing that you never really improve, or your character never really improves in Sea of Thieves, but I sort of get it now. So yeah, that's been wonderful. I did confirm
Have they improved the combat?
Sorry, go on.
Have they improved the combat?
Yeah. No. The combat's the same. They've mixed it up a bit with some of the like the PvE stuff I've been doing where you go in after like skeleton crews. So you'll pull up to an island. Oh, so for one thing, there's like NPC ships dotted about, and you can take them on, and they're pretty good fun to fight. But then also, yeah, you do these missions where you're just hunting. Like you'll go to an island, and there'll be a load of skeletons coming out of the ground and stuff. They've mixed up the types, right? So there's different types of skeletons, different strengths and weaknesses. Some will be carrying explosive barrels and shit like that. So that stuff is quite fun to navigate. If you do the current season, you like doing these quests where again you're hunting skeletons, but they're like ghost ones. And there's a little mechanic where you have your lantern, you can hold it up and it lights the area around you. You can get like different coloured lights for your lantern, and then so you might have an encounter where there's like blue ghost skeletons and white ones, so you need people with those coloured lanterns to like hold them up, and then that makes those skeletons vulnerable and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so they haven't improved the combat in and of itself. They've just sort of put like added more stuff around it that just makes it a bit more interesting. And just like the sheer numbers of skeletons you face off against sometimes, like makes it interesting. And there's like bosses and stuff as well now, that you do have to sort of consider in the same way as like a boss in Destiny, for example. Like they've got like a suite of attacks and you have to sort of figure out the tells for each one, whether it's a bit of dialogue or an animation or whatever, and figure out, where you need to be, what you need to be doing. So that stuff's all pretty good. But yeah, like the actual feel of the combat has not changed as far as I can tell. It's not great.
And did you say you basically have to play with other people? There's no real way to get through it on your own?
You can play it on your own. It just like cuts you off from a lot of the more interesting stuff, I think. Like I know there are people who just play it on their own and do very well out of it, but they're like people who stream it for a living and stuff, right? So like I can play it on my own, but I'll restrict myself to quite basic missions, like just doing delivery runs or a couple of treasure chests or whatever. Like I won't go, right, cool, let's go on so one of the ghost skeleton ones, that's like a chain of missions that you do together and then there's a boss at the end. There's no way I could tackle one of those on my own. So you need a friend to do that. I mean, you can always just join strangers. It's easy enough to do that, but I'd feel weird doing that. Yeah, I love it.
Just do it once and record it.
That would be funny. Yeah,
do it once and record it just to hear you talking to strangers online and introducing yourself.
We were playing the other night and we saw this one boat just out in the middle of nowhere, and he was getting attacked by an NPC boat. And we thought, fuck it, let's go help him out. And as we approached, he started spamming like the text thing, just saying like, I'm friendly. And we're on voice comms, so we're just going, it's all right, mate, we're here to help. Don't worry about it.
So, knowing you,
he's like, no, it's Sean Bell
killed him and stole his loot.
So yeah, and then we took out the ship, and then the guy was like, oh, sorry, I didn't have a microphone in, and we just ended up chatting with this guy for a bit, and it turned out he'd been playing the game for ages, so we were asking him all these stupid questions. And that was it, and then he sailed off, and that was quite nice. But then after that, we got griefed by a PvP crew, so swings and roundabouts.
Did you look? Hey, you look at the boat, and it's like there's like 8 people on the boat, and one of them is the guy that you just saved. It's just like smiling, just like pointing at you. I love that.
So yeah, Sea of Thieves is great. It's proper good, and I'm really excited. So I think in a couple of days, the Christmas season drops. And I'm really excited about that and what that changed. I mean, I know it's not going to like make it all snowy and stuff. It'll just be cool to do some like Christmas themed activities. Hats. Probably. Yep. I'm excited. The only other game I've played that's worth talking about is Haven. So this came out on Game Pass this week. It's been featured at a lot of, over E3 there was about 20 different sort of indie showcases and stuff. It seemed to be at most of those. It's the one with like the young couple sort of gliding around on an alien planet holding hands. Is ringing any bells? Look, basically the whole thing looks like a Daft Punk video.
No.
And it was like everyone had been talking it up as like it's just like this really nice representation of like just a couple living on this planet together and they're already in love, and it's like there's no sort of, I don't know, like you don't see that a lot in games, right? Where it's just like, yeah, here's just like a functioning like man and woman in a relationship and they're just sort of getting on and having kind of a nice time. I don't really like it though. It's like
I wasn't expecting that end.
No, I know. I was really looking forward to this because I'm like I quite like sort of relatively peaceful, not particularly challenging narrative things. And it's like you're this young couple living on this alien planet. You've basically like eloped together on this little spaceship, and you've crashed on this planet, and you're just living in the ship, and you're just exploring the planet and. Obviously it hints at like a wider plot. It sort of suggests that you have like run away together and like you really don't want to be found. So there's a bit of tension there. And it's, so you're going out, I say sort of gliding around, collecting resources, occasionally fighting enemies. It looks and sounds wonderful. Like the soundtrack's incredible. And I was really bored playing it.
Wasn't this was on like a Switch? Wasn't this on Switch as well? Like it's one of those like promo things. I think they were like, when they did a trailer thing for it.
Possibly.
So it looked reasonably interesting.
No, it did. It does. It does look reasonably interesting. Maybe it takes... I've put about 3 hours in, and I feel like I'm still just sort of exploring the world around me, and there's no real flow to it yet. It's still like... You remember like when we were playing Spiritfarer, Dave, and it's like you're constantly being directed to the next thing, and you're sort of thinking, okay, well, after any time now, this is gonna the training wheels are gonna come off, and it's just gonna be it's just gonna be like, right now you get the general idea of the flow of it, go off and do what you want, but it never really does. That's what Haven's like. I feel like I'm still just being ordered around towards specific things instead of it just being like, here's how you survive on this planet, get on with it, and occasionally interesting narrative stuff will pop up. It's just a lot of hand holding. And the combat is, it's fine. Again, it's supposed to be quite sort of stripped down. It's basically like JRPG sort of turn-based combat, right? So there'll be like, an enemy will, you'll be sort of flying around the world, and an enemy will touch you, and then it sort of cuts to like a fight where there's like 3 enemies. And then, you're activating moves with your 2 characters, and then they take a certain amount of time to recharge, and it's fine, but again, it's just not... I understand they've tried to make it simple, but it's a bit too simple. It's just, you're just hitting the enemies repeatedly. Occasionally there'll be a harder enemy where you have to hit with both characters at the same time to do a cool synchronized attack. But I don't know, just wasn't mixing it up enough for me. And the main problem with it is I just don't like the dialogue. Which, given that obviously so much of the game is about the relationship between these 2 characters, I just didn't like either of them particularly. And don't get me wrong, just writing dialogue for a believable couple who are just like living on this abandoned planet together, any couple's sort of banter is not funny to anyone else, right? Because it's so based on your own shared experiences and sort of bullshit phrases or jokes that you might have built up between you over time. So I get that.
Like this podcast.
Exactly. So on the one hand, it's kind of an impossible task, but I don't know, I wasn't laughing at a single one of the jokes and stuff. I sort of got...
That does sound like an iTunes review of this podcast.
I didn't get any sense that they were particularly close.
Again,
I thought you were talking about us. Yeah.
There's one joke that is really awful, and I'm really surprised it made it into the game. Where
was it about semen?
It wasn't about. Well, it's funny you should say that.
I think they come into my head.
It's funny you should say that, Matt. I can't remember exactly how it comes about, but they're talking about the next steps in the plan, right? And I can't remember the characters' names, but the woman's like, right, cool, let's go and do this, and the guy says, oh, well, let's not push until the panties are down, and she sort of calls him on it. She's like, what did you just say? And he's like, oh, you shouldn't push before the panties are down. It's just a saying where I grew up. And it's kind of
isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's really fucking gross, mate. You shouldn't say it. But like I say, she sort of calls him on it, sort of saying, oh, that's weird, but it doesn't really address that that's a really awful phrase to use. So that, it's just little things like that. Where you're like,
is that related to pregnancy?
How do you mean?
What?
Well, as in don't push the baby out until...
Probably don't try and deconstruct it.
I think
probably just move on.
I think you're being generous, Matt. I think it's pretty obvious what it means. But yeah. So it's just like, wow. So it's sort of, there are jokes in it that are not hugely funny, and then there's that where you're just like, that's pretty gross. Broadly speaking, not a fan. But the reviews are all really positive, so maybe I'm missing something. So I'm not going to say don't check it out. It's on Game Pass if you're intrigued, but I have not got on with it at all, unfortunately.
But it's co-op as well, though, isn't it? Didn't you say?
You can play it in co-op, yeah.
Is that maybe... Would it be better? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the game's involved enough to warrant it, to be honest. You don't just, there's not in it. I don't know. You don't do enough to be like. It's like the idea of playing it in co-op. I'm not thinking, oh yeah, that'd be great because you could fly around separately and gather resources and fight. But like, well, you have to fight enemies together. You only just fly around gathering basically one type of resource, pretty much. Well, there's plants and like basically there's food, and then there's this stuff called rust, which are just these red things on the ground that you fly over and you pick them up, and then you can upgrade the ship. And that's the other thing. It makes a big point about the fact that like, so your ship's broken, and they kind of go like, oh yeah, but then we can't really fly it again anyway because then the people we've run away from will be able to find us and catch us, so we don't want that. And then seemingly the objective is to fix the ship. And I don't really understand why.
See, I was just looking at the promo for it, and it says here, to play solo or co-op with a special someone. So maybe that's what you're missing, Sean. You need to play it with a special someone.
I really don't think New would be interested. Do you know what? I
could crack
this
up
week
at the gangs
I bought
together.
the Fort Boyard game on the Nintendo Switch for £2.70, and I'd rather.
I love that theme tune.
I'd rather play that. It's a good theme tune, isn't it? I'd rather play that with New than this, to be honest. So there you go.
Get
Haven.
that done then.
Haven. It's got like a 9 out of 10 everywhere. So what do I know?
Okay, cool. Well, I'll go through mine very quickly. Tetris 99, I've gone back to that, and as I've said recently, I've been playing a lot of Tetris Effect, and I was thinking I'm really into Tetris Effect now. Did I get it wrong by saying Tetris 99 was a better game? And then I played Tetris 99 and say, nope, I was absolutely right. Tetris 99 is still utterly incredible, thrilling, addictive.
Did you play the event, Dave, this weekend?
The Super Mario one?
Yeah, because there was...
I assume I did. I assume I contributed to it. It said that I had 100 out of 100 in it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So what's that event about then?
Well, they do those like pretty regularly, where it's basically just skins for the game. You know, you can after you've done a certain number,
I unlock that skin.
Yeah,
I unlock that skin. But yeah, I mean, if you've not played it for a while, definitely jump on it again. My best finish was 5th, which I was a bit disappointed with because I thought at least the amount I've played it this weekend, I should get a first place at some point, but did not happen. So a shame. But yeah, that game is still utterly incredible, and you still get games like instantly. There's no waiting about. You get straight into them. It's well good. So played a bit of that. The only new game that I've played this week is Unravel 2, the EA /indie game about a couple of bits of wall or whatever it is. And I think it was the weekend, and Harry's self-isolating at the moment because his school's been, the classroom, there was COVID outbreak. So he's totally fine, by the way. He's not a problem, but he has to stay at home 24/7 for 2 weeks. And so it's at the weekend, and I'm sitting there and I thought, should we get into a game? Like, I want to get into a game. So I was looking at, of course, EA Play is now part of Game Pass. And I thought, Unravel 2, let's give that a go. I played the first one for a few levels, didn't find it particularly endearing, but I think as a co-op game, we might get into it. And to be fair, we have. We've been playing it, I think we're up to like level 4 or 5. We're like 3/4 of the way through it or something. And it's gorgeous in places. There's some really clever ideas. It's just so bloody dull. Like it's just dull. Like, I don't know what it is about it. It's just, it also does this really weird thing where, this isn't fair to say, right? This isn't fair to say. But because it's linked to EA, like the opening mission, you're these Fred, and you're going through like this forest, and then you make it into a house, and the first thing you see is a child trying to slam the door on an adult that's chasing them down the hallway, and you have to kind of do something to make this light ping off of the adult that's trying to burst into the room so they can slam the door shut. And like it conjures up, abuse and all sorts. And you're just going, why, this, because it's linked to EA, you kind of just like go, nah, which is not fair.
Yeah.
Which is not fair. It's just not fair. right? Because the developer wants to say something or whatever. And if this was in just a normal indie game, I'm sure you'd look at it on the merit that is presented to you. But like here, I was kind of like, why have you done this? EA, you know what I mean? FIFA creators, EA. Yeah, so it's a bit. But thankfully, Harry didn't like sort of pick up on how serious some of the themes were in the background. But yeah, it was a bit shocking to see, I guess. But I don't know. We're getting through it, and there's moments where he's working out puzzles before I am, and that's pretty cool. And we'll finish it. I just can't say I'm particularly blown away by it. I think it's a little bit dull. So if you've got a 6-7-year-old that you just want to try a little co-op game with, who can't look into the background of things, then give that game a go. I guess. Weird one. When did that come out? Last year?
Yeah, I think it must have been. Yeah.
We'll never see another Unravel game from EA. I wouldn't have thought. No. I don't think we ever will. I think that's that done now. And I'm not gonna be too upset about it. Did anyone else play any of the Unravel games?
I did. I played a bit. I played a bit of it with Rachel before, but yeah, she wasn't that interested in it. Really.
What, number 2?
Yeah, the second one. Yeah.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Yeah. It's just a strange game. I don't know how it exists, and to some extent why. You know, it's I don't know. They're in a strange place, EA, at the moment. I'll be fascinated to see what happens to them this gen. Like, are they going to reach out and try and do new things? Are they just going to sit back and rake in the money like we have seen them do? Like this year, their profits were insane. Are we just going to see that again next year?
I think that's the safer bet, isn't it? It's not going to do very much.
No. Certainly not at the start of the generation, that's for sure. But that's been it for me, really, James.
I played a couple of things. I've been playing Sackboy. I played a bit more of that. I'm up to the 3rd world now, and I was playing it with Rachel, but then we kind of stopped because I've noticed the problem with the game is it's very good. I am enjoying it.
You got angry with her because she wasn't doing what you wanted her to do? Is that it?
No, guarantee. She got angry mostly because it's actually quite difficult. Like after you get past the first world, the second and third ones are significantly more difficult than the first ones, and she was getting quite frustrated with it and kind of annoyed. And yeah, then she just was like, "I don't want to play," and I was like, "Okay." And it's one of those things where
that's a shame.
It's strange because when like I saw you were playing like Mario Odyssey the other day, and it just reminded me of one of the things that game does so well, and also Mario 3D World did as well, was even when you make mistakes, it generally doesn't punish you too harshly. It's you can try again. It's quite easy to get back to where you were, that kind of thing. Whereas with Sackboy, it does feel quite like it punishes you quite hard. Like if you make even like small mistakes, which when you're playing with like younger people is not great. It's not really a great way to go. To play the game.
Yeah, it's like two games in a Mario game, isn't there? Mm-hmm. There's the bit that you complete easily and just have a little bit of fun with, and then there's all the really heavy stuff at the end. So the kids that are playing it can complete the game and feel like they've completed the game. And then the more seasoned gamers can go, right, let's get serious. Let's go down that walk pipe in the mushroom. And do that bit that was really hard. Let's do that.
Well, yeah, that's what the Lego games did really well as well, from Lego Star Wars onwards. So anyone can see the credits, and then if you want to start getting into the sort of slightly puzzle-ish, switching characters stuff, then you then go back and do that afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. But then the Lego games have inherently been a little bit more confusing than even the Mario games, right? Mario games are like, especially Odyssey, you can blitz through that game by basically doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moons in each level that are really easy to get. And then it hides away the more difficult stuff that unlocks after you completed the game. So you're not going to stumble into an insanely hard challenge. And even those, the majority of those are quite easy to get. There's only a few that are just like really, really difficult. But yeah, it's a shame that they've got that wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's because...
With Rachel out of the way, how are you finding it?
Well, this is the thing, because you see, because with this also, you basically 2 hits and you're dead in this. And it's quite easy for things to go wrong. And the problem is that after you've lost like a couple of lives, it takes you right back. Like you have to do the whole world right from the beginning again. And that is what's quite off-putting, because if you're very close to the end of something, and when I've been playing with her, we got really close to the end like a couple of times, and then it's like, oh, now we've got to go all the way back to the beginning again, and it's like, it's not like 10 minutes or whatever, but it's still like 5 or 6 minutes or whatever of like having to go through it again. And she's just like, oh, I don't want to. I just can't be bothered. And that's what like you said, like with Mario, it does a really good job of just letting you get to the end. Like if whatever your sort of the skill level, you've got a chance that you can get there, but then you can go back and then you can find all the stuff if you want to, and like you can play it in a more sort of complicated way. That's what I feel this doesn't do so well. But as you said, like having said that, I am quite enjoying it. It's still, as somebody who really enjoys platformers, this is a good platformer. It's fun to play. The levels are very varied, and all the stuff that you do in them is pretty good. It's just a bit of a shame that I don't feel that the main reason I bought this was to play this as a co-op game, and I don't feel that it's very good for that, actually. That may change when they eventually release the online sections, because there are, I think early next year, they're going to do it so you can play like online co-op, because there are some levels in the game that you can only do if you're playing with more than one person.
Right.
And so obviously they're going to have to do that, because otherwise people won't ever be able to finish it like completely. But I went from thinking, okay, I'm going to 100% this, I'm going to try and collect everything in this game, to now feeling like, I don't know if I can be bothered, because some of this is actually quite irritating. It's but it's a shame. But it still looks phenomenal, and it's but it's fun to play, and at least it uses the DualSense as well, like some of the
I was going to ask about that. What cool DualSense stuff have you seen it do?
It's more just the feeling, and again the stuff that comes through the speaker. It's not anything like particularly like it's not as pronounced. I assume
all that speaker stuff comes through on the PS4 version, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I'd say the DualSense one's probably higher quality, like the speaker, so it definitely sounds a lot better. I don't know, because I'd have to compare them, whether it's significantly different or not. But it's really just, again, it's not as pronounced as it is in Astro Bot, like the DualSense stuff, but still nice. It's one of those things where it's like when you don't have it, you don't notice it so much, but then when it's there, you're like, oh yeah, this is nice. I like this a lot. It feels great. But yeah, it's a shame that maybe they could have done more with that, but maybe they didn't.
Maybe they didn't.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Well, I don't know. I haven't finished the game yet, so maybe there will be some amazing stuff coming in the future. We never know. Good point. The other thing I played this week is, you see, I've been looking for stuff to play that's short before Cyberpunk comes out. And so I've been looking at what is 5 hours, what is 6 hours, that kind of thing. And so I've played Uncharted: The Lost Legacy over the last week. Yeah.
And you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it. It's very short.
I played up to the end of the bit where you're driving about, I think. And I didn't turn off because I wasn't enjoying it. I just think I moved on to something else. But I really enjoyed what I played. I mean, I love those characters anyway, but I really enjoyed what I played.
It's brilliant. And it really is brilliant. And I can't believe I kind of put it off this long before playing it, because it was significantly better than I thought it was going to be. That bit that you got to, I thought was probably the weakest part of the game, because they try and, towards the end of Uncharted 4, they did a lot of that, like that sort of you can explore around and everything. And it's it kind of works, but I always prefer these games when they're a lot more directed as to where you're supposed to be going, rather than just trying to,
for sure,
100%. And they did that a bit in this, but then they kind of don't bother anymore, and it's mostly it's not on rails, but it's you know where you've got to go to, and it looks amazing. And I'm not sure if this is because it's benefited from being on the PS5 or not, but it just looks incredible, and it's really, really stunning, visually. But I mean, it's more Uncharted, but as with Miles Morales, because it's sort of it's much smaller. And with the characters are still really very good, and it's just great. It's just really, really good.
You played 4,
how long
right?
did you say 6 hours?
Yeah, it's very short. It's a very short game.
Okay.
Because it was only wasn't it like 15 quid when it came out, and it's currently
20, I think.
Was it 20
or 25?
It's on sale for 7 quid at the moment, so I was eyeing it up as well. Will I? Because I've not played Uncharted 4. Will I miss anything if I don't play that first?
Maybe a few things.
I don't think so. Not from the stuff that I'd seen.
Yeah.
There's a few references, but it wasn't
No, it's not heavy on the references, but stuff
linked.
that happened later in the game you will have missed. But it's not to the point where it won't be where it'd be what is going on. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend playing it, because it is really good. It's really good fun, and it made me realise it's that kind of I could do with more of these games, actually. They can keep making these. You don't need. I mean, okay, Nathan Drake, fantastic character and everything, but these these two were great. Like, it was Chloe and Nadine they're just a brilliant double act in this. I really enjoyed them. I thought it was brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah, short and great. Yeah, very good.
Right then. That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Let's get on to the real
swivel
game.
round to my desk. This is it.
Get on to the biggest
For those
game
of you
of the
that
week.
don't know, and I mentioned it last week, so I'll be brief. Today we are picking, each of us are picking 4 games to submit to our Game of the Year list, which we will battle out on the next podcast to decide what is the TCGS Game of the Year. We are also picking 1 game each as a wild card, which you get to vote on. So you'll get to put, we all put a game forward to be voted on. You get to vote on it. The winner of that one replaces one of our 16 games that we've brought together. First thing
So
we need to
it
do...
replaces a game, but not from the person whose game it was.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, there's a complicated way of saying it, but yeah, if you vote for my game, then all of my games are immune from being removed from the list. If you vote for Matt's game, and so on and so on. So let's just get to it, shall we?
I'm feeling pretty nervous.
I was going to say, I feel terrible.
I'm pretty sick.
Yeah, I am actually genuinely nervous. Right, okay. So
also, there's like no debating whatsoever now.
Yeah,
about
no reactions,
choices.
Nothing.
Yeah,
no.
What? No reactions? Come on.
Well,
wow, there's bound to be reactions.
Involuntary ones, maybe. But yeah.
The first thing we need to do is pick the order in which we're allowed to do this. Yeah. So the way this is going to work, it's not a fair system. We pick an order. We take it in turns to read our picks out. But this time, for the wild card, whoever was pulled out last gets to go first for their wild card, and whoever, and it goes in reverse order for the wild card. But for the others, it doesn't. So, number 1 pull out the hat is James. Number 2, Matt. Number 3, if it's me last again, because I was last year, I'll be furious. Oh, me. Okay,
right,
I'm third.
Sake.
Sean, you're last. Right, okay. So I'm going to write these down as they're coming out. Okay. So it's James, Matt, David, Sean. And let's get cracking. James, what's your first game?
My first game is Animal Crossing.
Okay. Sean, fucking hell, Matt.
Wow.
I've got the names in front of me, Matt.
Me, yeah?
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2.
I'm going for Hades. Sean.
Paradise Killer.
James.
Oh, this is annoying because, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Matt.
Half-Life Alyx.
Okay. Oh, God. Right, now I've got to check my list. What am I going for? I am going for... Ah, man. Okay.
What?
Okay. I just realised that I've got 3 picks left.
And you need 4.
I should be alright. Carrion.
Damn you.
Sean.
Cloudpunk.
Cloudpunk. Sean doesn't have to worry because no one's picking his.
Yeah, no.
James.
I was going to get
one of
I'm
mine.
rested easy now.
Like Sean.
Once Hades
James.
and Paradise Killer were out the way, I was like, oh, okay.
James.
Streets of Rage 4.
Okay. Matt.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay. I'm then going to go for Fall Guys. Sean.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Okay. Now, your last pick, James.
Astrobot.
Which one?
I was going to say, yeah. Came out 2 years ago, making me in Astro's Playroom, actually. I think you'll find it's...
Matt.
Oh, well, that's annoying, James, because I was going to choose that.
Sorry.
No, someone had to.
I think James was robbed of like 2 of his, to be fair.
Yep.
Oh, shit. That's annoying, isn't it?
You're just looking at a blank page now.
The wild card's going to be even more difficult now. It's really tense.
It's... This is real difficult now. This is my 4th one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, your last pick.
Okay.
Also, if this is your first Game of the Year show with us, Matt milks this bit. He always has done. He always will do. It's annoying. Go on.
Only a
come on, Matt.
Black Mesa.
Okay.
Black Mesa. Okay. Did that go? Yeah, that did come out this year.
It's mad.
Yeah. Okay. 50% of your choices are Half-Life games.
It's been a good year.
I'm going with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. And to complete the list of 16, Sean Bell.
Superliminal.
See, I wasn't sure if we could have that, because I thought that had already come out.
Whoa. Deal with it next week. So the 16 are Animal Crossing, The Last of Us 2, Hades, Paradise Killer, Miles Morales, Half-Life Alyx, Carrion, Cloudpunk, Streets of Rage 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Fall Guys, Hyrule Warriors, Astrobot, Black Mesa, Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, and Superliminal. We get to the wild cards. This is what you get to vote on. Keep your eye on Twitter. The poll goes out when, Matt?
It'll be 12 p.m. this Wednesday. The plan is this podcast you listen to right now, I got out a day early on Tuesday. So from 12 p.m. on Wednesday, the 9th or whatever it is, the poll will go live, twitter.com/TCGSco. It'll be live for 3 days until 12 p.m. on Saturday. When that closes, the winner of which will be added to the GOTY show recording.
Okay, and whoever you vote for, whoever's game you vote for, the rest of their games are immune from being taken out before the show starts. Sean, what's your wild card?
Hard Lads.
Okay. My wild card is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Matt.
Cyberpunk 2077.
What? Right.
Am I writing that down?
I mean, I thought we'd all agreed it was exempt, but...
Oh, okay, fine.
I mean, if it ends up there, you can't choose it for next year.
Yeah, Matt.
You're basically screwing the game over.
But we also... No, hold on, we're in trouble now. Because we also said that any game can be on that list. We weren't going to question it.
I mean, it's up to you, Matt, but if it doesn't win the wild card...
I think I've got to write it down.
Well,
you submitted it as a wild card.
I said that because I wanted to see what your reaction was.
You're having a laugh.
What do you mean?
Well, you've nominated it now, so that means that it can't be in next year's Game of the Year show.
No, I wanted to. I thought you'd say no outright. That's why I thought I'd be cheeky, but
we can't because we spoke about it last week that any game was being nominated. We're not even supposed to be talking now.
Okay. Well, I won't have that because I won't see it from us for next year.
What you doing?
You know.
I just thought, well, they won't let me have that, surely.
Well, we don't have to worry about someone ruining the poll as being the what screws this year's game of the year up now, do we?
I really don't have. Okay, I won't choose that. I really don't have another one, but I will go with
Battletoads.
No. Oh, Stories Untold.
Okay.
Hang on,
James.
isn't that?
That's also, yeah.
Well, it came out this year on console. So I played it this year.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
James.
Unless you want to check?
No, well,
I'm going.
Go on.
I'm going for. Oh, this is difficult because it's one or another. I think I'm going to go for Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. I should have chosen that.
Okay, then. So you have to decide which makes our list. It's either Hard Lads for Sean, Ori and the Will of the Wisps for me, Stories Untold for Matt, or Star Wars Squadrons for James. That poll goes live on Twitter Wednesday, the 9th of December at 12 p.m. Get involved. Next, I'm looking at that list. It's way better than I thought it would be. I ain't going to lie to you. There are some very, very good games on that list, and it's going to be interesting for the Game of the Year show because I think for the first time... No, not for the first time, actually. There's been other years like it where there hasn't been there's not a clear winner on there, in my opinion. In fact, a lot of them I'm torn over as well if they go up against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Christ.
I'm upset. I didn't really have a nailed on one for the wild card. I mean, I'd already, like a lot of the ones I'd already played had gone, and also the ones I'd chosen. I really was struggling at the end.
It's not been the best year,
less
is it?
games out this year that I either loved.
It's not been the best year for gaming.
I think I said previously, if I looked at my completed games list, it's just under half what it was this time last year.
I was tempted to put FIFA on there.
Yeah, I was thinking at one point FIFA.
Because I've genuinely had some of the best nights of gaming that I've had all year on FIFA, but I just thought there's no point. There is no point trying to explain. I was looking at I just googled in games out in 2020. I was like, well, no, didn't play it. No, it's like it's just been I wouldn't say it's been a weak year because we've had some absolute stunners, but I just less. It feels like less. But yeah, it feels like less. Definitely.
I feel bad that I didn't play Bug Snacks because maybe that should have been on the list. But
Bug Snacks. Damn.
Yeah, I haven't played enough of that.
No, Demon's Souls as well.
I'm really surprised one of you didn't choose Ghost of Tsushima. That was like this year.
I was going between that and Star Wars Squadrons. I wasn't sure which one to go for, but I don't know. It's... okay, I'm not going to explain my reasoning. I'll do that when I talk about Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. But I will say, for a public vote, you chose the wrong one. Right, let's get on to questions. God, I feel like... weird.
I'm sweating.
Yeah.
I'm actually sweating. It's horrible.
I'm in limbo now. I don't know what to make of that. I think I know who's going to win the public vote.
Hard lads. Right, Joe in Seattle. Speaking of hard lads, yes. Joe in Seattle says... Sorry, do you want to send us a question? Go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Joe in Seattle says, gentlemen...
Well, no, don't do that now.
Oh, don't do that now. No, absolutely don't do that.
We're going to read it till January.
And they'll just wait a while.
Yeah, no, but then if people send them all over Christmas, we'll end up with about 40 questions when we come back.
Yeah, but there's no games out. Oh, I guess Cyberpunk.
Exactly.
It's only the biggest game to come out this year.
What we do with those emails is we treat them like Matt treats games from the last year. Just bin them all.
Carry them over.
Clean slate.
It's a clean slate.
Yeah. The thing is, I won't have to do that because there's nothing on the slate this year. So,
Joe in Seattle says, gentlemen, please speculate on how Ciri from The Witcher 3 will show up in Cyberpunk 2077. They've got to do it, right? Video log, Easter egg, hidden quest, DLC. I'm so curious. Anyway, appreciate you dudes. Cheers, Joe. Do you guys know where this comes from?
Yeah, it's from the... Well, yeah.
Yeah, so in Witcher 3, because obviously she's the lady of space and time, there's a bit of dialogue at some point. I think it's like an optional thing. It's not mentioned in the main quest or anything, but she's just like, sorry, go on.
It's in one of the expansions, isn't it, as well? It's not. I don't think it's in the main game.
And she just makes an offhand reference about like other worlds she's been to, and she talks about this one where like yeah, she's like, oh, it's this city built of light or whatever, and it's clearly talking about Cyberpunk basically.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's weird. I hope it is just quite a brief thing. I think it would be a bit shit if there was like a whole quest where she's like, "Hi, I'm Ciri from The Witcher. Oh, why has no one got any swords?"
Well, no, it would be if it was written like that, Sean.
I'd love it if it was written like that.
I think if
they could work that in and make it exciting, definitely.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, like a simple video log, or that'd be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, she doesn't have to mention she's a time traveler.
No, I know. I think I would rather it was a brief thing rather than like, she's like a main character.
I reckon Keanu Reeves takes his face off, like in Back to the Future 2, when Doc takes that skin off, and then it's actually her all along.
That makes sense.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep.
Mission Impossible, innit? Thomas Wadsworth says, "Dear chaps, with video games getting more and more popular every year and revenue for companies getting bigger, in what ways have you been happy for the rise in gaming reaching more of the general public? In what ways has it been a negative? For me, it was a bonus as I moved to a new country, brackets Wales, hardly counts, and video games is a brilliant way of breaking the ice and made some new lifelong friends with it. Keep up the good work." I mean, I think
that's helped, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like all the ways in which gaming has got worse has been from the kind of people who played games since day one, and there's almost this weird resentment that more normal people play games.
Sort of weird gatekeeping sort of thing.
Exactly.
Goes on,
yeah. So if anything, I think it's just exposed the quote unquote hardcore as just often not being particularly nice people. I mean, that's a massive generalisation, obviously, but
it's really cool for kids in school now, because when I was at school and you played games, you were definitely a nerd and no one wanted to talk to you. But now everyone plays games. Like we were playing. You go to school now, I assume. Like I don't really know, but like the stories that Harry tells me, that everyone at his school plays FIFA.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of them play Fortnite, and we haven't let him play Fortnite yet. But a lot of them just play FIFA, right? Now, when we were at school, we were playing Pro Evo, and we were getting laughed at.
Yeah.
Not because it wasn't FIFA, because
Manchester Red, it was like, off, mate.
It was just like, I'll watch real football. What are you playing football games for? That nerd, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, it's cool for them. That's got better now that it's been widely accepted. Also, I'm hoping, maybe I'm an idiot, but I'm hoping that parents are way more aware of it now.
Yeah.
And there's not that. You're seeing less, you still see it, but you see less of that. Video games are disgraceful, There's a lot less of that going on.
But then do you worry it might go too far the other way, and like next week Harry will come home and say, "Oh, my mates are playing GTA 5, Dad."
Well, no, because I'll just say, no, we ain't playing it. But the problem is that does nothing. That just means when they go around their mate's house, they play
exactly.
it.
And you don't want your kid to be
I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, Sean.
Yeah, fair enough.
I will cross that bridge when I come to it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, what the negative side of it? I think it's more of a negative side of society and their reaction to social media, to be honest with you. We've discussed it many, many times. I hate social media now, and it's getting worse and worse. Yeah. It's getting worse, and I'm almost done. I nearly put a tweet out. That's irony for you. I nearly put a tweet out at the weekend, and I thought, Joe, I can't even be bothered. What did it say? It said something like, "Hey, do you remember when the internet went massively mainstream and it was only just like a little bit full of dicks?" You know what I mean? Like a little bit full of complete arseholes. Those were good times, weren't they?
Yeah.
But really, they weren't. There were still arseholes there, but it was just less of them. And they couldn't find each other as easily. Do you know what I mean? It was the hashtag to click.
For me, the most positive thing is definitely bringing people together.
Yeah.
Since games since things like the Wii Sports, and things like Rock Band, and then just more modern online games today, like Among Us.
Yeah, for sure.
Other stuff
but also just like imagine all the other stuff that's like connected with that. Like if you look at stuff like Twitch, like what that has done. I know there's also bad stuff with all of that, but there are communities as well that have grown up, like around streaming and all that kind of thing, which I think they must have been good for some people. The fact that they have there's community they can engage with.
Put it this way, right? And I think this is one of the most positive things, especially for this year. Obviously, think back to when you were 13 and the games you were playing and how you were playing them. Right? Imagine being in lockdown for 3 months when you were like 13, 12, that sort of age, you ain't getting together with your mates on Fortnite every night and chatting.
No way.
That was not a possibility. You'd be on the phone for like 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's all you were allowed.
Before the 3 hour was up.
But during that completely stressful and horrible time where you didn't see your mates, and you got to remember that when you're 13, 3 months feels like a year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
an eternity.
It doesn't go as quickly as it does for us.
So you have like obviously your summer holidays, which is like what, 6 weeks. That was a fucking eternity. That never ended.
Yeah, no, it really was. Yeah. But then they were able to turn their consoles on, and so the advancements of technology and gaming and stuff gave an excuse to get together with your mates. And ironically, that's how I got into online gaming in a big way, really, because I mean, I'd played online games before, but it wasn't until Xbox Live come out just as I was leaving college. So I was like 17, 18, something like that. And all my mates, well, most of my mates were going to the university across the country. I knew I wasn't going to see them for a long time. So one of our friends went, why don't we all just get Xbox Live and then we just carry on gaming and we can chat to each other. And it was like, okay, so we all went to the local game shop, all bought the Xbox Live starter pack, and then that's how we stayed in touch. It's such a huge thing, man.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing. I mean, I've banned them all now. I've unfriended them all now. I met better people.
It all turned out to be...
But it was good for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It all turned out to be unsavoury characters as soon as you put them on the internet.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they all joined Gamergate. Fuck those guys, right?
Right, Sam Hartford says, please help your friend and former guest settle a Twitter battle. Mr. Adam Capone has been trying to figure out the answer to a question nobody but him even bothered to pose. After spending $15 on a now rotting spaghetti squash, he wants to know why nobody complains about this, but everyone makes a big deal about the rising cost of games like Demon's Souls. He writes, way more work went into making Demon's Souls than making 6 or so of these. When someone challenges him about this, he wonderfully explains it so. Oh, I think I am slowly getting it now. It's much easier to multiply millions of Dark Souls and instantly make them available to anyone in the world, but you can't clone spaghetti squashes. It's something along those lines. Please help explain the difference.
I don't think I can explain it any better than that. Well, wonderful thought. I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, that's not really... Yeah, I mean, it is technically a question, but it's its own perfect little story, isn't it?
It's just like a stream of consciousness that's just been put down.
I mean, I saw this, I mostly just enjoyed people trying to explain it. It was quite
good.
Right.
I think I'm slowly getting it now. That's my favourite line.
I mean, I was quite impressed with spaghetti squash. I hadn't heard of that before.
No, I wasn't familiar with it.
I.
But yeah. Right, Richard Sawyer says, Dear TCGS, with the arrival on Game Pass of Dragon Quest XI, in which you can set all the characters to auto-fight, taking the monotony out of basic fights, probably not the first game you can do this on, but it is for me, what task that most would find enjoyable would you automate? You can't pretend that you enjoy vacuuming.
Oh, levelling up, probably. Levelling up. Especially in that Assassin's Creed game. It's
surely he means like a real life thing.
Yeah, I think he means...
Yeah, he means that, not in the game.
What? Okay. Oh, boring. Monotonous task.
Taking a shower.
I want summer.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Do people really enjoy taking a shower? Okay.
I think people do.
Oh, God, I love it.
Yeah, how do you not enjoy a shower?
No, shower's just something I have to do. It's a chore.
Nah, man, I love that shit. Getting up in the morning, jumping straight in a really hot shower. Too hot, really. And then just, yeah. It's
you know
great.
how some people like sincerely enjoy exercise? I'd automate the fuck out of that.
I would do the same.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Are you
pressing the button?
Then you wouldn't get all the endorphins. You'll just get the...
No, I'm assuming that the idea is that you would still get all that stuff. You're just automating it, Matt.
That's cheating.
I don't know. Maybe it's not the same. No, I always remember it was John tweeted once about he was talking about people who like put the telly on while they're on an exercise bike or whatever, and basically his point was just that like to him that's ruining two enjoyable activities. I remember reading that and being like, right. people, like healthy people, are just fundamentally wired differently to me. Because I don't. I mean, I know it's that thing of like, you break through that initial barrier, and then it's like, exercise isn't instantly horrible. It's like there is like an enjoyable buzz out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've always struggled to get there.
I don't mind exercise. It's not that it's horrible. It's just boring. Like, I just often find it just boring. It's not, I don't.
You got to gamify it. That's why.
That's the thing, though. Is I've done, I've like Wii Fit, obviously, and then Ring Fit and stuff, and it's like those things like distract me from the fact that I don't fundamentally enjoy exercise for a bit. And then that's kind of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I love running, but the first few I hate.
It's shite, yeah.
No, and I really have to force myself.
It's just a case of breaking through that ceiling, isn't it? Yeah.
And once you're through, like, this is the best thing, and I feel amazing. And then days that don't do it, I feel rubbish. And it's like but as soon as you break that cycle and don't do it for a bit, you're like, oh, I can't be bothered.
See, with exercise, I've got no interest in running or going to the gym or anything like that. It's sports that I love, like squash. I went through years of playing squash and playing squash. And then playing football and stuff. I love all that stuff, but yeah, I'm not a big exerciser. So I guess that's the answer, because I can't think of anything else. The only other thing that I can think of is taking the bins out, but no one enjoys that. Taking the bins out is rubbish, isn't it?
Do you know, if it didn't fucking stink, I'd probably, like, there is something therapeutic about just getting all the shit away from your house.
Yeah, but it's also...
The only thing I hate about that is having to like put all your shoes on and all that kind of thing just for a journey which is not going to be very far. It's just annoying.
Exactly. It's just outside. I know what you mean. Also, because you don't want to take the bins out, you overload the bin, which means it's a nightmare to get out of the bin. You do that thing. I assume we all do that thing where we put our feet either side at the bottom of the bin.
Yeah, of course.
And have to pull as hard as you can up, hoping that it doesn't split. And if it does, then you've got to get a bag over the lot and turn the whole bin upside down and shake it. Like James Farley getting a PS5 out of a box. It's an absolute nightmare. But yeah, other than that, is it not editing this podcast, Matt? Your love for editing's gone out the window now, isn't it?
No, I do enjoy it. It's just sometimes it can take a long time.
Yeah. No, you don't. Every time you make a mistake, you go, "Oh, just fucking got to edit a bit now."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's mostly because I tend to try and do it on the night before, and there's like a lot to do. But I mean, I've automated a lot of that as well. I can't think of something. If I enjoy it, I wouldn't want to automate it. That's the trouble.
Well, it's something that most people find enjoyable. It's not you don't necessarily. Imagine if I read this out and someone was just like, shagging, mate. Get rid. Just automate that.
I guess. It's a bizarre thought. When you get to this section of the show, you get dirty mind. Is that it, Sean? Is that where it goes?
Just making my own fun.
That's what you call it.
Maria, I don't like this filth, Sean. That like every week now.
I've always been like this, haven't I?
No, this has got much worse.
Into your granddad.
Filthy.
Someone
Sean,
once tweeted at, was it? No, it was what was that question? That site where people could submit anonymous questions. What was it?
Curiosity Cat.
Yeah,
Ask
FM.
One of them.
Or that one,
Anyway,
that before, and then everyone.
I always just remember someone asking Andy Hamilton if he was like disturbed about the amount that I talk about wanking on the podcast. Anyway,
was it you asking the question though, Sean?
Yeah, Andy, is this all right, mate? It's just this is too much.
Also, can Sean tell me 10 of his favourite wanking stories?
I don't think I've got any wanking stories, to be honest. Certainly not ones that I'd share.
Right, yeah, thank God for that. Let's move on.
Maria...
Yes, save that for the Patreon show.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Onlyfans.com/TCGS code. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS coachman of the apocalypse.
Not so good.
Borderline. Your love for races, and especially Forza Horizon, is contagious. However, after falling deep within a YouTube rabbit hole of physical racehorse simulators like the MK10, which boasts neck pressure and whipping sensors, I found myself wondering why horse racing games are not a thing in mainstream gaming. What would an open-world horse racing game entail, in your opinion, and what sim elements would you like to see in it?
I mean, it's pretty bad open world.
It doesn't need to be
game,
open world. Just make it like a full
it's just a track,
sports
isn't it?
sim, like a FIFA.
Could you imagine that? Like, you were about to watch a Grand National, but all of the races arriving, like, down the road, and then they turn in like they do on open world games.
Yeah, but imagine, imagine, and I know it's not this simple, imagine if they just copied and pasted the horses from Red Dead into GTA Online and got rid of the cars, and it was the same game, but just everyone's on horses, and that's how you do the races. You're just running around on a horse in town and being like, all right, let's go to this spot. We'll start a horse race.
Oh, shit. Like a GTA instead of cars, horses.
Yeah.
And an excellent plot point where you find out something about yourself and you try and redeem yourself throughout the whole game. That would be brilliant. That would be
imagine
great.
a game like that.
How would they replace the helicopters? Do the horse just sort of...
Two horses.
And their tails just sort of spin
around. Two horses
round.
tied together.
If I remember correctly, Sean, they did it with a hot air balloon.
Oh, that's right, they did.
There we go.
But, yes, I would like a FIFA-style horse racing game where you work up to, like,
Well, it's just... That's just polo, isn't it? You want a polo game?
No, I want to like train a horse, get a horse in stable, do it training stuff. You work up to sort of like, the Gold Cup and the Grand National and all that sort of stuff. And brilliant.
Okay.
Let's go.
What would you call it?
Hoofer 21.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
When he was put on the spot, Sean, that's not too bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cover-based shooter where everyone's horses, including the guns and the bullets. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, Sean, when you're saying about copying and pasting and then you went into like Red Dead, I thought you were going to say, copy and paste FIFA Horizon, fucking hell, Forza Horizon. Yeah. And then instead of going up to another car and tooting your horn, you just neigh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it'd be like. Yeah, you just be like, just get your horse just like rears up and neighs at people, then that's it. You're bombing it.
Imagine that.
Bombing it through Kendall.
Imagine that though, Sean. Yeah. A third-person shooter game where you play as a horse and you duck and cover behind horses, chuck over a little horse as a grenade, that explodes, kills the horses.
Literally everything is
and then
horses.
You bring out a sniper horse out. Yeah. I'd call it Horsey Bang Bang. That's what I'd call it. And it would be out on the Series X and the PS5, but not the Series S.
Because it can't handle it. It's too advanced horse physics. It can't. Series S can't handle it, can it?
No, it's not got enough horsepower.
Go on. I want that.
Go on.
Dave, I want that, but in the arcades, and you hold a horse and look through the horse's asshole, and it's called Silent Horse.
Okay, all right.
Not everyone can do lewd humour. It's it takes a lot.
I just imagine lifting up the tail to look through.
Yeah, you rest it over your shoulder like businessmen do when they're in, it's windy and their tie goes over their shoulder.
Yeah. The problem is, in this day and age, you'd have to have someone standing next to it and wiping down the horse's tail and arsehole every use. Know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm sure there'll be a big queue though to play Silent Horse.
James Farley, you got an answer?
I have no interest in horses.
Brilliant, here we go.
Do you hate horses, James? What's your problem with horses?
I prefer a motorbike.
Of course he does.
Edgy. James, are you wearing a leather jacket right now?
Not right now, no.
Are you punching a jukebox as we speak? I prefer motorbike.
I know we're calling him the... we're calling him the news goblin during the news, but for the rest of the show, can we call him the hog?
Boss hog.
Steady on. I mean, yeah. Lockdown's not
I thought you were going to say the Fonz goblin, but that works.
James Farley only gets off his motorbike when he falls in love or falls down dead.
We're getting delirious. Let's go to the next one.
Do you want a motorbike, James?
Sorry, say that again?
Would you like a motorbike?
Definitely.
Yeah,
do you know anything about them?
Jill says not allowed.
Definitely not, Matt. You nearly killed yourself on an electric skateboard.
Yeah, I know, but I rid on like on like a scooter when I was in college, but when I see like an amazing motorbike go down the road or down the motorway, I'm like, that must be amazing to like bombing down the road at 70, 80,
I
80
guarantee
tops,
that they're
70 tops.
screaming really loud in that little helmet. Just, I'm out of control!
Yeah, I mean, I would be dead within a week, but would be good.
Before or after the Game of the Year show recording, because we could lose a couple of Half-Life games.
Valve would be gutted.
Why would you possibly want to do that?
James, do you know about motorbikes?
No, not really.
Like, is there one that you could... Right, okay, brilliant.
No, I just want to recreate Days Gone, but without the zombies. It'd be good.
Okay.
Just endlessly just...
Speaking of Days Gone, it wasn't news. But like, you had both the studio heads left, didn't they? Sony Bend. It's a bit of a worry.
Strange that didn't come up in the news section.
It didn't, no.
Yeah.
Right, this next one I think this is from Deadbeat Punk, but he's written his name as Dad's Bad Spunk Joke. Just greetings, you.
I'm quite a talking point.
Greetings, you shower of. It's really captured the nation's imagination, hasn't it? Greetings, you shower of podcasters. Having recently finished Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I can't recommend highly enough. None of us have played it. However, there was a strange occurrence with the English version of the game. When you target an enemy, there were meant to be indicators that inform you of an enemy's strengths and weaknesses. This was not present in the English version until a very recent patch. Now, having finished the game without this incredibly handy feature, a feature that would have immensely bolstered my enjoyment, no doubt, I have now taken the stance of considering my hampered playthrough to be the satisfactory way of playing the game. Everybody else is playing a diluted form of the product, robbing themselves of all challenge or truly conquering the game. Have you ever played through a game and missed a key feature that you wish you'd known about from the beginning?
Oh, we've done this one a few times, but we should readdress. We've not had it for a while, right?
It's been a while, yeah.
Because I always roll out my Fallout 3 story.
Oh, God!
Where, if you,
yes.
Yeah, it's bad. When I got all the way through Fallout 3, and on the very last enemy, I found out you could line up more than one shot with VATS. So every single enemy in that game, I went into VATS, chose one part of the body to shoot, activated it, then went back into VATS, chose a part of the body again, activated it, instead of lining up 4 or 5 shots, which is what you're supposed to do in that game. And it was only by accident that I did it on the very last enemy in the game. And when I played this whole thing and I didn't know that, I could have cut my playtime down by about 40 hours. So that was bad.
Nice.
That's my story.
So I've done that kind of thing with upgrading characters. You know, like when you just don't bother for like ages, and then suddenly you're like,
yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, this is really easy now. You know, it's done that many times.
Yeah, Mass Effect, I did that for ages. I think it was Mass Effect 2, where I just didn't upgrade the character, and I was like, why am I dying so easily? And it was like, you've got 8,000 upgrade points. And you're like, all right, okay, now I'm invincible. That's fine.
I was, as I've now revealed, I've recently finished Paradise Killer. There's a character in that who is basically like the hint system, and I only found her when I was about 10 minutes away from finishing the game. So that was good. I mean, as it happened, didn't really need it, but it was just funny that I was like, oh, I see, this would have all been explained to me if I'd visited her sooner. Never mind.
I did.
How did you manage to miss that?
Honestly, no idea, because because I reached an area I hadn't been to, and straight away my character starts going, "Oh yeah, this is where such and such told me to go," and I was like, "Did she? I remember that." And yeah, it turns out it's like quite a crucial clue. And then you meet this character properly, who then from all the dialogue choices I had available to me, it was very clear that I could have been checking in with her regularly if I was ever a bit stuck as to what to do next, and she'd have helped me out. Whereas as it was, I just had like 2 pages worth of like dialogue choices, which were like, and what should I do at this bit, and what should I do at this bit, and what should I do? But I'd already done it all. But it's fine. It's not the game's fault. It's my fault, really. But
yeah. No one's blaming the game.
No.
Matt.
I can't really think of an example where I've missed a key feature because I'm just so bloody good at games.
Because you always have a cheat sheet next to you. You can't miss a key feature. You look it up and you research the game before you play.
When you played Cadence of Hyrule, didn't you not buy any upgrades for the entire game?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah.
But what really often happens in those cases,
accidentally one-broed it.
yeah. Oh yeah, and I was like, wow, this is much more enjoyable now. But often in those things, I'm actually saving it because I think, I might need it later, and then the game ends. But yeah, that one I did kind of miss that feature.
Okay. Last one.
Mitchy Mitch says, hey guys, I've been gaming in one form or another for around 30 years. Over those years, there have been certain technological advancements in gaming technology that have blown me away. First I remember is a jump from 8-bit to 16-bit when we upgraded the family computer from a Speccy to an Amiga. Those extra colours felt like witchcraft at the time. Other memorable jumps included the PS1, which was the first console I bought with my own money. We look at the PS1 now, and the games look pretty janky, but at the time, those 3D graphics felt revolutionary. Then there was the Xbox 360, which to me felt like a huge jump in graphical fidelity. It also gave me my first taste of proper online gaming. Since then, I can't say I've felt any particular technological jumps that have blown me away. That was until recently when I acquired a Razer Kishi. Bear with me. I was sat in the dark waiting for my 2-year-old to drift off to sleep with my Kishi in hand. I fired up the Game Pass cloud and looked through the huge array of games that I could now stream to my phone and that I would otherwise have never got round to playing. I'm working my way through various indie titles that I would never have thought to play due to lack of time. Now I'm sat in the dark hoping my little girl will actually take a bit longer than usual to drift off to maximise my newfound gaming time, which with 2 young children has become somewhat limited recently. What's some of your memorable gaming advancements, and what was your most recent piece of technology that felt truly futuristic, gaming or otherwise?
What's a Razer Kishi?
That's the little...
It's the shell thing, isn't it, that you put on for your phone.
Yeah, we mentioned it about 3 times.
Oh, you put your phone on it.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm really with him on this 8-bit to 16-bit jump, because I remember the first time I saw Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, and I was completely blown away, because I've been playing the 8-bit version, and it was the sound more than anything.
Yeah.
Just like suddenly it's all just like, it was incredible, like the difference between those. That was a big thing.
I think because I played a lot of Atari STE, the jump didn't seem that massive to me. Because you had very cartoony looking... It wasn't as fast, obviously, but you had there were some good looking games on that thing. Am I way off? Maybe I need to go back and look. I think the most impressive jump for me was probably, it was either going to the 360, where that's not necessarily down to the console itself, but going to HD gaming was a big thing, or seeing the N64 for the first time. That felt like it arrived from space.
Yeah, I was going to say N64. Even seeing something like Killer Instinct, it's like, this looks crazy.
Yeah.
I remember
just seeing Mario being played.
I remember also the first time, I've talked about this before, but like the first time I played Half-Life, when that, to me, felt like that was one of the first games that had really like mastered like the scripting stuff that made it
that was
feel
massive,
like real as well. And I just remember like fighting those Marines and it feeling like
I just remember
like they were
everyone
hunting
talking
me.
about the first like 10 minutes you're just like going to a job.
Like,
you're on a train for about 3 minutes, just nothing's happening, you're just looking about.
Because did any of you play the original Unreal?
Yeah,
it was shite. It was a cool graphics engine, and they had to make a game for it. And I remember one of the things being like, "Oh, the AI's so good that like if an enemy's losing a fight, it'll run away from you." But it was fucking annoying because you'd just be like, "Well, I've just got to chase him now for ages," and they're just like, "Just running." That's fucking boring.
I remember seeing Barney in the train bit at Half-Life. And then when they brought out, what was the...
I thought you meant the dinosaur.
Blue Shift.
I was like, yeah, sorry.
No.
Blue Shift?
Yeah, Blue Shift.
Blue Shift, yeah. And then, like, the idea of, oh my God, that's the police guy from the first bit of that. Oh my God, like, all that stuff was just, like, mind-blowing to me. That was so cool.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, one of the coolest moments for me is just getting to play Halo Combat Evolved for the first time. And, like the AI of fighting the enemies. It's like, they're flanking us. They know... It's like fighting real people.
And it was just
crazy.
that whole thing of like, there'll be a bit where you shoot some guys and then you get in a car and you drive to the next bit and you shoot some more guys. And then in the middle of shooting the guys, you can get in the car again if you want. It does fucking whatever.
Yeah, but also the
Halo
multiplayer, the way it dealt with multiplayer
moment.
Was unreal as well at the time.
Yeah, and playing co-op.
Yeah,
Halo's unbelievable.
Totally.
I think also...
And,
sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say the other one that really, I think, impressed me like more than anything was Grand Theft Auto 3 when I first played that. 'Cause,
oh God, yeah.
Just like like the intro and all that kind of thing, and then realizing that I'm like, oh, I'm in a city that I can like fully kind of explore. And like now, you look back and you think, yeah, it looks terrible.
Blow up.
But it's but at the time, I was really blown away by that. I thought it was incredible.
One of my most memorable moments of seeing new things was, as I said, N64 earlier, but seeing Mario 64 and getting to play it for the first time. It was in game in Kingston. Oh no, no, in Guildford. Sorry, in Guildford. And I remember seeing the demo unit, and someone was playing it. I was like, I can't believe really what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, I probably must have seen like pictures in the official Nintendo magazine. But then it was actually out, and getting to see it and then hold the controller, and it's like, wow, it's like this analog stick. And yeah.
See, the first time I saw it, I hadn't seen anything. And my mate just had an N64. I went up to his bedroom. He went, "This is Mario 64. Look at it." And I was like, oh, this is not real. This is not real. What's happening now? This is like the bit that always like brings that nostalgia.
Did it
back.
turn out to be Croc 3D?
It was Clock 3D. Yeah, he was a complete arsehole, my friend. It was running around the flowers, and then the thing popping up. That always stuck with me for some reason. And then when I tried it on the Switch, I was like, oh. this didn't bring me back. It's such a shame. And also, I remember one of the reasons why I love Banjo-Kazooie, like straight away, was going into a level, collecting things, coming out of that level, going back in, and they hadn't respawned. Like I'd still like. They were gone because I collected them. I remember going, what? Oh my God. Like, that was like a big deal for me for some reason.
I always remember it wasn't so much about the game. It was Jet Force Gemini in the N64.
I never played that, always wanted to.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be really good, but I just remember, so we used to rent our TVs. Do you remember that? Used to go to Martin Dawes, rent a telly.
No.
You never do that?
We never did rentals.
That. Yeah. That sort of thing. So you just pay like a small monthly fee. My
mum and dad did it the other way, where they would buy a TV and then we would have that TV for about 15 years. Like it was crazy.
It had to last.
The length of time.
Yeah.
It had to last like a long time.
On one occasion, my parents, I think, like genuinely accidentally rented one that had fucking surround sound, right? And they got rid of it pretty quickly. I think they realised it was an error. So we set that up. And obviously, back in...
Hold on. Well, like proper surround sound, like they were putting in the extra speakers again. I'm sure this...
Well, no, because it just turned
be
up.
part of the TV.
And Mum and Dad were just like, oh, it's got these extra speakers. Like, what are they for? And me and my brother like, oh my God, it's got fucking surround sound. And but like, because Mum didn't want wires all over the living room, which is fair enough. So we only set them up like occasionally. And then, after about a month or two, they said, no, bin that, we'll get something else. But in that time, obviously at this point in history, actually having anything that like actually outputs surround sound is pretty rare, because all we had was telly and fucking VHS. So I got a mate to bring his N64 around and we played Jet Force Gemini. And I just remember like this opening area, it's just this like open sort of, you're just on this planet and there's like a waterfall behind you. And I remember we just sat there just panning the camera around and listening to the waterfall and go, oh my God, it's fucking real. like we're really there.
But then, is that a waterfall behind me? No, it's just my wall.
Turning round and going, oh.
It's disappointing, if anything.
I think that's one of my few big ones. Can't think of any others.
Cool.
So that's it.
In terms of recent, because I think the natural question was like, what's your most recent piece of technology? Can't really think of anything that feels truly futuristic. I mean, obviously the DualSense controller, that felt really magical, which is one of the few times in recent years where it felt, okay, so it was really cool.
I'd say the first time I used PSVR, definitely.
I was going to say
oh god, yeah, VR's a good
VR
one.
in general,
yeah, VR's a
I
very
think
good one.
the Quest especially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, PokerStars VR for me was kind of like, oh my god, I'm just sitting with my mates having a laugh, and it feels like they're next to me. Yeah, that's weird. It's cool though. It's cool. Right,
cool.
Are we done?
It's cool.
We are done. That's the last proper show of the year. Next week, we have our Game of the Year show. It's the big one. Should we run through the list one more time?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, let's do. that. Why does I feel nervous?
I feel really nervous as well.
Days of,
Yeah, it's tense.
It's annoying, isn't it? I've got a script I've got to write. This is just...
So here it is. Oh, hello.
You've had that script to write for the last 2 months, James.
Yeah, I know, but I can't write the script until I know what he's got, can I?
Okay.
Like, it doesn't work.
You could have written it months ago when the agreement was taking place.
Yeah, then just replace the game name when the time came.
So, here are the games. Animal Crossing, The Last of Us 2, Hades, Paradise Killer, Miles Morales, Half-Life Alyx, Carrion, Cloudpunk, Streets of Rage 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Fall Guys, Hyrule Warriors, Astrobot, Black Mesa, Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, and Superliminal. The wildcards are Hard Lads, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Stories Untold, and Star Wars Squadrons. There we go. We will find out what will be. Any of those games could be Game of the Year. We'll find out which one it is. When's the Game of the Year show scheduled to go out, Matt?
It'll be a week on Wednesday.
A week on Wednesday. Look out for that.
So Wednesday, 16th of December, it'll be out.
Do you want to do your socials, Matt?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the wild card. So just to clarify, this pod, by the time I listen to this, it should be Tuesday. And the poll will go live tomorrow, Wednesday, 9th of December. Start 12 p.m. Go to twitter.com/TCGSco. It'll be there. Or go to tcgs.co/vote and it'll link to the tweet. That's 12 p.m. on Wednesday. The vote, the Twitter poll lasts until 12 p.m. on Saturday. Once that's over, then we'll have a wildcard winner and we go from there. So, yeah, get over there and vote from Wednesday onwards. In terms of streams and stuff, Friday, James is streaming Alien Isolation. Friday from 9. Are you still enjoying that, James?
Yes, mostly.
Oh, what? What are you? Is it not a good game, or are you just too scared?
No, because I don't want to get into it because there's no point. It's just the streaming options are not great.
Oh God, yeah. What? No, let's get into that. What? So is it the Xbox, your internet, or what? What is every week?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm pretty certain it's the Twitch app is what the problem is because it just seems to have problems. Like this week,
but I don't have that problems when I use it.
Dave, you're doing that thing that people do. It's like whenever I complain about anything to do with the Xbox, you're just like, well, I don't have that problem. And it's like, yeah, but other people do. I don't
know. When you were complaining about Quick Resume, I was saying I had that problem.
Yeah, in general, though, if I ever complain about anything to do with the Xbox, it's always something that's my fault. It's always a broken Xbox. It's always something else that's wrong. It's never the fact that it doesn't work properly.
I mean, historically, it has been a broken Xbox, but we can't use that.
I don't know about that.
We can't use that anymore. So it's...
Well, I don't know what the cause is, but this time what was happening was every time that I started the stream up, I mean, at least this time the stream actually started. That was good. But instead, it was just a blank screen where you could hear me but couldn't see me. It was brilliant.
So how did you fix it?
I like the fact that every time James uses something, it doesn't work. And he hasn't worked out that the common denominator in that situation is him.
What are you talking about? What? Okay, I know you're just trying to wind me up now, but it does really wind me up, this, because every Friday, this is a real becoming... It's really irritating. It's really stressful because I know I'm supposed to be starting out at 9. It never works. There's always something that goes wrong with it. It's just really irritating. And it's like I've never, ever had this problem with any other console. Streaming anything else.
To be clear, you can just bin this off and do something on the PS5 if you want. Surely.
Well, I'd like to, but it's just I am enjoying the game. Alien Isolation is a good game, but I don't enjoy it enough to want to pay, to buy it again. You know, it's like... It's annoying.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, I mean, hopefully it will work, next time. But it is a bit irritating, honestly. It's, yeah.
No.
What's your upload speed?
I get it. It's a stress, and it's just a joke how it doesn't seem to be working 100% every time.
See, it's nothing to do with stuff like upload speeds and all that, because everything else works. It works. I can stream from anything else. I was even streaming. Don't you remember?
Because you're downloading, right?
What do you mean?
You were downloading when you were streaming, but what's your upload stream? The
upload is irrelevant.
Speed.
It's in the sense that
it's irrelevant
in the sense that it always works on other machines. Come on, Dave. I'd streamed using my mobile phone pointed at the screen, and it was fine. That worked.
Okay,
it's not to do with the internet. It's
Plus,
I
just find it weird.
And if it was an internet speed thing, then deleting the app and reinstalling it wouldn't change a thing, and that's the fix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, well, I deleted it, reinstalled it, I restarted the Xbox about 4 times, and then eventually it started working. It's just, it's not a good app. That's the problem with this. And you see, I don't think it's an Xbox problem. I think it's that app's problem, is what the thing is. I think it's just a bad app. Like, it's a bad app anyway. Even if you want to use it just to watch stuff, it's rubbish. It's just, it's just not good.
Shame.
Let him go. All right.
Yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, that James will be streaming from about 24 minutes past 9 on Friday. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, and with that, get 1 free sub a month. We've really appreciated all your subs all year round. But if you've got that free sub, please go over to our channel, twitch.tv/TCGSco, and give us your free monthly sub. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS for exclusive monthly podcasts, talksovers, and the like. And it's tcgs.co, which is our website for everything else. So we'll also mention we've got Discord. There's a link to Discord on the website. And at the moment, they're doing like a listeners' game of the year thing. So go over to our Discord, find a game of the year channel. They did a game of generation one recently.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing, but for game of the year. Go over there, cast your vote. But it's all on Discord, and the links to Discord
are on the website. Did the results of the game of the generation thing come out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go and check that.
I mean, you can probably guess.
I voted, but Zelda was it? Don't spoil it, actually. Right, okay, fine. Yeah, do spoil it. That is fine.
You didn't say which Zelda?
Yeah, that's true.
True. We'll see you next week. Game of the year. Thanks for living it. I've never felt so tense.
Am I going to be nervous for this all week? I think I am.
I think I am too. Actually, this is a weird one. I've not felt like this after the draft before. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Good night.
Goodbye.